Hello, YouTube. I'm so gracious and grateful that Doppelgangers joined us. Without a lot of gilding of the lily, I'm going to jump right into our reading for the day. And if you recall, we're reading from Moby Dick, chapter 3. We found out that Ishmael has found himself on Nantucket. And he's found himself in this town, regardless of what it is, not Nantucket yet. And he's trying to find a place to stay. He's found this inn called the Spouter Inn. He's went in there and he's found this weird picture of a whale, and he's found this bar that's made out of a whale's mouth. And he was introduced to a character named Balkington just briefly. And he's seen these mariners coming in from the Fiji Islands with a full ship of sperm oil from the whales to sell and bring back news of the Fijis and far-flung places. And I thought it was funny. If you remember yesterday, he said, "We'll have fresh news from the Fijis," the landlord said. And to them, fresh news is a year old. So all of this stuff just appeals to me. So please try to remember as I'm reading this, that this is not only a day before cell phones and iPads and whatnot. This is a day before the telegraph. This is a day before anything but the written and spoken word. The town crier was your news source. So that said, we all know where we're at. And Ishmael is still in the Spouter Inn. And he's trying to decide what he's going to do for the night. Where is he going to sleep? Because there's only one bed available. And half of that bed would belong to a certain dark-complected harpooner. So right now, it was about 9 o'clock, and the room seemingly almost supernaturally quiet after those orgies. I began to congratulate myself upon a little plan that had occurred to me just previous to the entrance of the seaman. No man prefers to sleep two to a bed. In fact, you would a good deal rather not sleep with your own brother. I don't know how it is, but people like to be private when they're sleeping. And when it comes to sleeping with an unknown stranger in a strange inn, in a strange town, and the stranger a harpooner, then your objections indefinitely multiply. Nor was there any earthly reason why I as a sailor should sleep two in a bed more than anybody else. For sailors no more sleep two to a bed at sea than bachelor kings do ashore. To be sure, they all sleep together in one apartment, but you have your own hammock and cover yourself with your own blanket and sleep in your own skin. The more I pondered over this harpooner, the more I abominated the thought of sleeping with him. It was fair to presume that being a harpooner, his linen or woolen as the case may be, would not be of the tidiest, certainly not of the finest. I began to twitch all over. Besides, it's getting late, and any decent harpooner ought to be home and going bedward. Suppose now he should tumble in upon me at midnight. How could I tell from what vile hole he'd been coming? Landlord, I've changed my mind about that harpooner. I shan't sleep with him. I'll try the bench over here. Just as you please. I'm sorry I can't spare you a tablecloth for a mattress. And it's a plaguey rough board here, feeling of the knots and notches. But wait a bit, Scrimshander. I've got a carpenter's plane there in the bar. Wait, I say. I'll make you snug enough. So saying, he procured the plane, and with his old silk handkerchief, first dusting the bench, vigorously set to planing away at my bed, all the while grinning like an ape. The shavings flew right and left, till at last the plane iron came bump against an indestructible knot. The landlord was near spraining his wrist, and I told him for heaven's sake quit. The bed was soft enough to suit me, and I did not know how all the planing in the world could make eider down of a pine plank. So gathering up the shavings with another grin and throwing them into the great stove in the middle of the room, he went about his business and left me in a brown study. I now took the measure of the bench and found that it was a foot too short, but that could be mended with a chair. But it was a foot too narrow, and the other bench in the room was about 4 inches higher than the planed one, so there was no yoking them. I then placed the first bench lengthwise along the only clear space against the wall, leaving a little interval between for my back to settle down in. But I soon found that there came such a draft of cold air over me from under the sill of the window that this plan would never do at all, especially as another current from the rickety door met the one from the window, and both together formed a series of small whirlwinds in the immediate vicinity of the spot where I thought to lay my head for the night. The devil fetch that harpooner, I thought. But stop! I could steal a march on him. Bolt his door inside and jump into bed, not to be wakened by the most violent knockings. It seemed no bad idea, but upon second thoughts, I dismissed it. For who could tell what the next morning, so soon as I popped out of the room, the harpooner might be standing in the entry, all ready to knock me down. Still looking around me again, and seeing no possible chance of spending a sufferable night unless it was in some other person's bed, I began to think that after all, I might be cherishing unwarrantable prejudices against this unknown harpooner. Thinks I, I'll wait a while. He must be dropping in before long. I'll have a good look at him then, and perhaps we'll become jolly good bedfellows after all. There's no telling. But though the other boarders kept coming in by ones, twos, and threes and going to bed, yet no sign of the harpooner. Landlord, I said, what sort of chap is he? Does he always keep such late hours? It was now hard upon 12 o'clock. Before I let the landlord now respond to Ishmael's questionings about this harpooner, I'm going to leave it for tomorrow. Because, listen, this is an exercise, folks. For one, I want to see if anybody left alive cares about the late, great Herman Melville, who wrote this magnificent tome longhand with a quill pen. And also, I do know its empirical scientific evidence would suggest, at least, that listening to and me reading, and Doppelganger pointed out that I needed to prepare a little bit more. I did today, because even though I've read this book many times and I think I'm so smart, I've never read it out loud. I read the book and I read it in my head. And when you go to trying to enunciate these very long sentences and ponder these very big ideas, it increases the strength of your frontal lobes. And I guarantee you, as I wind down here and want to talk about Poland, and we're going to talk about some serious stuff today. I'm going to try not to get all ogreish on you. I want to kind of ask you, Mark, before you talk about whatever it is that you want to do, Mr. Doppelganger. Do you feel like this kind of literature or classical music or even pondering deep ideas could make one a more intelligent human being?
Yes, definitely. Wait a second, we're having echo from you. Okay, so to answer the question, yeah, definitely. I believe the people of old were not any less intelligent than us. They simply had some less experience, but also at the same time, they had much more experience with various things that we don't do today anymore, or at least don't experience today anymore, like rough and tumble life of a whale hunter. So there is certainly a lot of wisdom written down and a lot of interesting stories yet to be discovered or rediscovered. So yeah, by all means, we should read and follow such old stories.
Yeah, and I'm just plugging in my thing. I got to keep muting until my Bluetooth kicks up. But it's very funny. William, I really appreciate your patience. And all I could say is that I am going to continue the experiment with Moby Dick. But this is what he said, Dop, really quick. He just said,
Yeah,
I would rather. Oh, so he said he would rather see me drink and smoke weed than talk about chickens, and talk about chickens than read Moby Dick. So thank you, sir, and I appreciate your patience. I got to say that William is one of my longest viewers. And he is here early almost every day, and I really appreciate it being here. I think you were around, Dop, when we found out yesterday that Captain Coalpile is a coal driving man. And
yeah, this was awesome because right when in a after stream hangout, right when he was chatting with us, he was also driving this huge bulldozer and basically piling coal. And apparently he can, during his work hour, listen to all the podcasts and books he wants. So I'm kind of envious of him that he can do it and enjoy it, expand his knowledge. That was interesting.
That was very cool, and I thought it was so cool that while he was talking to us, he was actually operating. You could hear it.
Yeah,
hear him operating his
giant going on in the background.
He's bad to the bone. I mean, he's a coal driving man. But
yep.
I will get this daggone thing going if it kills me, Dop.
Yeah, good. Okay. In any case, you mentioned something about Poland. So we've got some piece of interesting news and development related both to France and European Union and tangentially to Poland. The Poland is apparently focus of it, but the truth is I wanted to look at it from French perspective. Maybe we should wait for our Jeremy to
I hope
come
he shows
online.
up today.
Yeah.
You
So
know
I
what?
think we'll
I
keep
asked
that
him,
in
but I'm not sure I got his contact info. If you got it.
I think we'll keep that in reserve. What else do we have now?
Oh, well, and again, I'm waiting for Conscious Caracal, but there's so much news right now, Dop. I mean, I've got like 15 directions we could go in. Conscious Caracal wanted to speak a little bit about some of the issues that are going on in South Africa. And I want to say this very quickly before he gets here. In reading what he sent me and pondering the troubles that they are having there in South Africa, remember this, folks. What is a minority? What is a minority? What does it mean? It means that you are in the smaller group of people. Well, guess what? There is a white person now that I know as the Conscious Caracal that is in the minority. He's white. Everyone in Africa is black, just about. So what I wonder sometimes, man, I don't know if you care to talk about this, but it's something very interesting to me. Why does minorities only matter some places? And then if you go other places and you're the minority and you say, hey, I'm the minority, don't kill me, they'd kill you anyway. Well, that might be too deep. Dop may be busy. But that's
sorry, yeah, I was actually typing with Kerry, who brings us news from UK. Unfortunately, a female terror suspect was shot, not fatally, just wounded, during some anti-terror arrests that went down in UK.
I wonder, I'm looking on Drudge right now. Do you have a link to that? Oh, you just sent that? No, that's...
Yeah, it was just on the chat. I think I can find something on the internet because I should still have it in my history. If you could please keep the stream occupied.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because and no matter where we go, that is what's been on my mind, is the idea that there's right now in South Africa, a friend of mine that loves the Boers. I read a piece from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle about how tough the Boers were, this group of people that seemed to carve themselves out a little niche here in the great British Empire. And now they're there, and because of who they are and their ethnicity, the local folks are they're killing the Boers. And hey, no one, where's the outcry? Where is someone standing up? And in my mind, man, you know, I'm white, Mark, so I've got to say it. In my mind, I feel like, does it have to come to the point when white people, because we have in the past, white folks have in the past, and then probably will in the future, have to be persecuted to the point where the whole world can't ignore it before they'll say, look, you shouldn't harm anyone because of their ethnicity. You should treat all people based on the content of their character.
Yeah, the question of course remains whether it was exactly because of their ethnicity, or maybe rather, as in biological sense, or maybe rather because of cultural differences. This is not exactly the same, but in either case, it's condemnable and definitely should not be going down.
Yeah,
in any case, I think I've got a link to United Kingdom's The Sun newspaper, which isn't exactly the prime news estate, but they got a series of photos from the actual anti-terrorism operations. So if you could please present.
Sure. Yeah, I read The Sun all the time. I personally, I mean, anyway, one news source is as good as another is what I was trying to stumble out there. You can put them all in a big bag and shake them up, and in the end, so it says, don't touch my body. Dramatic moment. Cops battled to treat first female terror suspect shot in UK history as she yelled, get off my dress, in a raid that followed active terror plot and saw 6 arrested. So, you know, I still don't have any sound, Dop, but there is some footage here that everybody can undoubtedly see, apparently, of this female terror suspect in UK that was shot. I'm sure. What do you think, Dop? Is the next thing going to be like, oh, it was a woman, they shouldn't have shot her? What's going to be? What's going to come of this, or where do you want to go with this?
Frankly, it's hard to say right now. Obviously, there will be some protests against the fact that a female was shot. Any person being shot is regrettable. Let's be open about that. However, when somebody plays with the fire, as in this case, terrorist preparations, well, you can expect to end up being harmed during police operations.
That's right. Well, I agree with what you said. It's a shame when anybody gets shot. But in my mind, it shouldn't be any different if it's a black man or a white man or a white woman, black woman, terrorist suspect. Because to me, look, as hard as this is for me to say, Dop, even if someone is going into a pizza parlor in Tel Aviv strapped with explosives, yelling Allahu Akbar, I'd hate any time a life perishes, whether it's the cow that provided your hamburger or this terrorist, doing it's to me, it's something that should be taken into consideration.
Right. Okay, I'm posting in the chat room the link to the story. Perhaps somebody looking at that could also find a better link for us to cover it better. And yeah, right back at you. Indeed, it's regrettable when a life is lost, or even when significant harm occurs. However, we also have to be well aware that women are just as capable as men of spreading terror or fighting. We have good examples of that on a smaller scale from the Berkeley Antifa riots, where females were just as aggressive and throwing stuff at people. And we also can remember back to the times of IRA fighting. There were female fighters. They were just as dangerous as men. This is nothing new, and we shouldn't hold double standards in this regard.
In a lot of ways, they're more dangerous, Stop, because there is that stigma with hitting a woman. I mean, that lady, Moldy Locks, I hate to call her lady, that female, had a green bottle in her hand, tried to strike dude, man, or push him. It did look like a strike to the throat, and he punched her between the eyes. Base stick man, walking away, minding his own business, assaulted by these punks with skateboards. Hey, he turned around, and when that kid come at him, man, I tell you what, too, I can't say it enough. Base stick man, I don't think, just judging by the way he moves and stuff, I think he's just a badass. I don't think he's ever been in a dojo or a gym in his life. I think he just is one of those dudes that you don't really, want to push him too far if you're smart. I wouldn't want to. And anyway, I do see here that this came just hours after a suspected terrorist with a rucksack full of knives was taken down by cops at Whitehall. The cops said it wasn't connected to the raid. So they raided. I'm reading through. I don't know if you want to read through this, Stop, or and really get the lowdown on this. It's totally up to you.
I think you should go ahead with it.
All right. Well, let me start at the beginning then, instead of trying to jump right in the middle, because we saw a little bit of that video. It says yep, I'm right here. So I already read the headline. Then it says, this is the dramatic moment cops. In fact, let me screen share this so everybody can see what I'm doing. Get my mind right here. Sorry about that, folks. I'll get my stuff together. It says, this is the dramatic moment cops battled to treat the first female terror suspect shot in UK history as she yelled, "Don't touch my body." I thought it said up there, "Don't touch my dress." But the woman, 20, was gunned down as heavily armed officers in UK, that's hilarious, as heavily armed officers swooped in on a house in Wesseldon, northwest London. Before 6 were arrested over an active terror plot. So they arrested 6 people that were actively plotting some terror. There's a bunch of pictures there. It says in footage of tape.
And for the benefit of anybody listening but not looking, from the pictures we can see that actually the police officers were quite heavily armed with long rifles. So it was, at least from their perspective, a serious situation. Also, the woman was shot but not killed. She was wounded.
Have you ever seen a SWAT team in America go into action?
Yeah, I believe that would be at least 10 times more gear on them.
Right. That's why I kind of chuckle when they say, heavily armed. These guys look like they're just regular cops to me that happen to pull out their AR-15 from the trunk. Right, because there's not a police officer around here that doesn't have a shotgun beside him, a Glock. It's probably usually a Glock 19 or a whatever Glock on his side, or Sig Sauer, and then also has an AR-15 in the trunk with 1,000 rounds. But anyway, I mean, and it's good to me. I think that the citizens and the hopefully posse comitatus, police from among the people, would all be heavily armed in case of something like this. But yes, Mark, good point. You can see this mark right here. There's bullet holes right there, and and these are large. So I don't know if they're bullet holes. This conjunction. Let's see what it says. Yep, bullet holes in an upstairs window of the property, which was raided. in the early hours of this morning. And it says footage obtained by the Sun medics can be, in footage obtained by the Sun, medics can be seen battling to save her on the pavement as horrified neighbors look on. Other footage shows a woman in a burqa with her head bowed being dragged out of the house and down Harlesden Road by two cops, while a youth in a vest is seen being arrested in a third clip. Officers wearing gas masks swarmed the terraced property at about 7 p.m. last night when terrified neighbors described hearing gunshots before CS gas was fired inside. So it's thought to be the first time a woman's been shot during a terrorist investigation in the UK. Witnesses say the injured woman was wearing a long dress and a hijab. She was lying on the pavement and yelling at officers as they tended to her. Meanwhile, the front door was left wide open and the hall was covered in blood after the shooting, residents said. And again, you can see these blurry, but they are pictures. Another suspect can be seen in a vest. And
yeah, so okay, again, some clarifications from our listeners. Basically, the whole action was taken against several people, not just one woman. She was, for some reasons, the only one that got shot, apparently, or at least that's what the article implies. And also, we have to commend the civilized actions of police who, right after incapacitating her, went promptly to giving her first aid and trying to save her life, which is something that you wouldn't expect in certain uncivilized countries.
Yeah, well, and we get a bad rap. They probably get a bad rap back on your home planet. But when it seems like you look at, I don't want to point to anybody except, so I'll use one example, North Korea. When they took our soldiers and then, they were very cruel to them. And we started being very cruel, but it came down very quickly. And where the word came down from was the United States citizens that said, we don't care what they've done. If you have them now and they're unarmed, you give them a cup of coffee, a cigarette, and a steak. And you say, just be calm. We're going to get you back to your home country if that's possible. We treat the ones we wound as well as we treat our soldiers.
Right. Okay. And we have a very good point from Carrie relating to what you asked a moment before. So Carrie says this is not a bullet hole, the large holes we were seeing in windows. This is a can hole. A tear gas can was shot into the window because the crazy was at that window. Non-lethal force. So basically, again, we have to commend the police for using the minimum force necessary to subdue the suspects.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense because I was looking at that hole before I even seen the caption. I was like, the bullet hole 7.62 or a 5mm bullet? No.
Yeah, definitely
more sense. In other words, I was talking about the comedian yesterday. They pulled a comedian on him and just boom, start shooting the canisters right through the windows at them suckers, man. And anyway, and look, I will say this, Dop. We have to meet force with force, but we also have to be realistic. You mentioned Antifa and the females. They do it on purpose. They put the females out there, as I said, because of the stigma. They do this and they make sure that the females up front talking about, oh, get off my body and this and that, because then they want to say, oh, that's why we wear a burqa so you can't abuse. You wouldn't be being dragged out of your house and shot if you weren't in a den of thieves.
Yeah, right. And also to expand on that point of putting females in front, we have seen this perfectly well with the tactics used by this crazy group by Enemies Necessary, where they put ladies up front, and the petite lady Yvette Falarka is basically running at people, hitting them, and trying to provoke them into any kind of reactions. At which point they hope that general melee will ensue.
Dop, if she came up to me and hit me in the ribs like she was that guy, Ben, get off my streets, I would go just like this. Give her one shove. And when she regain her feet, I would punch her as hard as I could, right between the eyes, just like Dude Man did Moldy Locks. And why? Because I'm an egalitarian. I believe in equal rights. If a dude was hitting me in the ribs and I couldn't escape like that guy was hemmed in, I'm going to do the alternative, which would be meet force with force. These people are crazy.
Yeah. Actually, regarding crazy and by enemies necessary, there was a pretty good video recently, I believe, by Sargon. I think I should be able to find the link in a second.
Oh yeah, I'm not in enough trouble for kissing his butt. Let's plug him one more. No, I'm just teasing. Let's plug him. I like Sargon. I just watched the whole Syria thing yesterday. It's almost 2.5 hours long. The one that the Brit was mentioning, and I tell you, since we mentioned him, I got to say I am humbled by the guy. He does have he has a good way of staying on topic and really making good, solid, clear points. I got to give it to him. And look out, MC. I'm sending you a link. I don't know if you're busy saving the world today. I ran him off with Herman Melville yesterday. So hopefully MC can come in, Dop. I'm sure you'll be more than happy to have him here. He's such a wonderful addition.
Yeah, obviously. He's a treasure trove of information and insight. So by any means.
And yes, I've sent the link out to Cabbage Patch. He won't be mad at me forever. He'll be back on. We're good mates, whether he or I like it or not. We're good mates. So sometimes good mates rub each other the wrong way. I think I rubbed him the wrong way. I will say this, Doppel, right now, where everybody can hear me. I will go back to doing what I do best, and that is trying to please myself. And if I would have tried to please myself just recently in a case that everyone knows about, that I'm not going to just mention, I'm mentioning it this way. If I would have just pleased myself, well, I know a lot less people would have been upset with the way things went down. But instead, I work with other folks, and I was very diligently trying to please them and me. And good gracious, it's just too much to try to please yourself and everybody else. So with respect to my crew members, I mean this with the utmost respect, but it was pointed out to me very clearly by two people I respect very much, that as much as I like to be here, as much as I like my crew here, we ain't jack shit without the people that come and watch. And so that needs to be my priority. So one last time, for any mistakes that I make in the past, have made in the past, or that I will make in the future, God forgive me. I'm just an ogre. Anyway, but these are crazy, insane people. And I would say this goes beyond making a mistake and trying to please too many people. These are folks that are using a religion, a religio-political movement, and using the most.
Yes, exactly. And as you can see in the video by Sargon I just linked, basically Sargon does a pretty long and pretty detailed expose on them. It's almost 1 hour long. And indeed, from various materials he collected all over the internet, both video and text, a pretty damning picture is created in that the by any means necessary organizations is basically a cult. It's not religious, but it's a cult. It has all the classical trappings of a cult, and that's in a rather scientific sense. Please take your time to check it out. And it's scary stuff because they start indoctrinating young people. Those are, at least some of them are teachers, so they have access to young people, and they disconnect them from the family. Basically, exactly the tactics that you would expect from any self-respecting cult.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, Dom. Most people know that I'm a person of faith. What that faith is my business. But that said, everybody, Caracal, good to have you here. Everybody that is a member of any religion, whether it's Luciferianism or Christianity or anything in between, is a member of a cult. The definition of a cult is someone that has a figurehead at the front that has ultimate say and the last say. They want one in thought. There are other things you could put. A cult could also be defined as someone that puts social pressure on you if you want to leave them. They could put physical and emotional pressure on you, such as the Scientologists do with their little jail that they have out there in Nevada, and they lock people up and pour cold water on them and ridicule them for, like, that can go on. So yes, it's a cult, but some cults, and this is tough for me to say, but some cults are okay. I'm going to give an example. The Presbyterian Church, that's a cult. They're okay. The Lutheran Church, they're all right. They're cults, but they're not out there. And Dop, I want you to respond that they're not out there actively saying to kill. So why would it be bad that they're cults?
See, this is the difference between you and Sargon. With all the respect to you, Sargon one-upped you before you even started by actually going to a very good scientific paper regarding cults and quoting from the paper. So basically what you gave us is a lay understanding or lay definition of a cult. Whereas
I've studied cults for years, bro. I've actually worked with the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses. If you want something that's more in depth than layperson's terms, I can go get a paper that I wrote.
No. All I'm trying to say is Sargon based
understand.
his video on actual scientific definition of cult, and what he shows us indeed fulfills all the requirements to be.
Well, let me look it up, because I just gave you a what I would call it was a layman's definition, but I will actually look up the definition and show you that it's exactly what I said, just more concise.
Please, by all means.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I actually quite liked Sargon's cult videos. They were pretty well made.
It's right here. It's a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. Like I said, there's a supreme figure or object at its head. So that's number one. A relatively small, now this is the sub definition. So the definition of a cult is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. And then it says these are the bullet points after. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. And then a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing, like a cult of personality with Stalin and with just recently with the Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. So it can be lots of different things, but the definition of a cult is a group of people that follow something or someone at their head. That is the definition. I'll screen share it if you want.
So that's fine. All I'm saying is that Sargon went by the different definition, which gives it a much more sinister meaning. It may be more narrow, which actually is an advantage in this case, and it's much more sinister.
Well, the cult is to me, it's always sinister, man. I don't know how else to say it, because let's face it, look, got to be really delicate when I share this, but I'm going to share this. Today, I got a call. My phone is always on vibrate and buzz, and I just picked it up and realized it was my grandma. And she's not my grandma even by marriage. She is my great aunt by marriage, but everybody calls her grandma. And I picked up the phone and said, hi, grandma. And she was like, hi, Ogre. Have I offended you? And she's 94. I was near tears as soon as I heard those words out of my beloved grandma's mouth. I said, Grandma, what do you mean? What's happened? And she said, well, I haven't seen you by to get corn lately. And I said, Grandma, I was just there today. She sells me GMO corn. She has 2,850 acres of farmland. And so I said, I got corn today, Grandma. So let me make a long story short. She called me because she wanted to know why I wasn't at synagogue the last couple Sabbaths. And she wants me there tomorrow. She wants me there tomorrow. And did she intentionally make me feel bad to be there? I don't know. But I did feel bad. And a cult, and is this a cult? It's a religious place where we all put focus on one particular thing at the head. So yes, it's a cult. And did I feel social pressure from a very beloved individual to go tomorrow? I'm going to go. If I'm not dead, because this woman is going to be playing the organ. She plays the organ, and she's an excellent musician. So, boom, it is sinister, Mark. That said, cults we got to judge them on an individual basis. I'll leave it at that. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, could you compare the Church of England with Islam?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Both of them contain certain similar mechanics, or if left alone for long enough period, both of them could probably end up in the same scary place. However, we also, I guess, could agree that there are certain substantial differences between them.
Yeah, and I won't defend any cult. None. Not the one I belong to, not any. Because as I said, no matter how you feel the pressure in these situations, whether it's your beloved grandma calling you to tell you, you haven't been at synagogue in a while, young man, you're making me feel bad, and I'm going to make you feel bad because I haven't seen you. Or if it's the local elder coming by and saying, I'm in fear that you're going to hell, young man, or whatever. Those things to me, and when I say compare, look, I'm done. You flabbergasted me, bro, because yes, if you leave any cult to their own devices and there is no social pressure on them, there are no laws saying you can't do this and that, well, you're going to have the Catholic Church and the Diet of Worms. You're going to have Martin Luther King being, persecuted. You're going to have Jerome and Huss burn at the stake. That's what's going to happen.
Right. In any case, I was trying to gather my thoughts regarding your question. Are there similarities or differences between Church of England and Islam? I believe maybe at first the original Christianity was kind of similar to Islam in some respects, but let's not forget the Reformation, which basically modernized the religion quite a lot. I mean, all the Christian-related religions, and in the end, some core values were adjusted to what we expect from modern society.
Well, yeah, and you said the big thing there, because let's remember that Islam was reformed. The Ottoman Empire, they didn't throw gay people off of buildings. There was the light of civilization for quite a while. And I'm going to get flack for saying that. Send me some letters. Tell me how dumb I am. But it's the truth. It's what I believe is the truth. And then they fell back in it. So I have to look at what you said, Dop, and I have to realize that, if we don't keep our eye on anybody that says we have ultimate truth, whether it's a scientist or a religious person,
right,
could be in trouble.
Right. And exactly, this is a very good point you've just made, in that today we have some people who are trying to use science to basically form a cult of science. I believe
like a political cult, more like, because it's this unholy marriage between politics and science in order to kind of they think to combat Trump. It's quite absurd.
Yeah,
but
it's basically science no longer is a pursuit of truth, but instead it becomes a political tool or social political tool.
Yeah, I actually made a long Twitter thread the other day on this exact topic, because it really troubles me, because it feels like the people within science don't see what they're doing. They don't see the can of worms that they're opening or the beast that they're unleashing.
Right.
And on what expand on that.
Okay, because for me, it's almost as if they're making a deal with the devil by bringing politics into science in order to combat Trump or to push back against Trump.
Well, do you see that too, Dop, in your universe? I mean, are they doing that with everybody, or this is deep to me?
Yeah, I'll just read what I wrote on Twitter. So my first tweet began as, politics are contained within all facets of human life, but science essentially needs to stay unpartisan. No party is solely anti-science, because if you think there's only one party that's against science, then you're pretty short-sighted. Incorporating politics, it will start becoming partisan and lose its credibility that is based on its detachment from emotion. Scientific conclusions will start being tainted by political loyalties and emotion, as it already has, and thus science will lose its credibility and will no longer enjoy its position that it has in society.
Yeah, well,
that's basically it. Yeah.
Pretty good. And for those of you watching right now, you can see I have Conscious Caracal pulled up here on oh, hi Carrie, on Twitter, and you can see a lot of his threads. I got to say one thing before we carry on. Caracal, you have a gift with communicating with people with varied ideas, and I do respect that. You really have a gift with it.
Oh, thank you very much. I try to be as open to new ideas as possible, because if you only restrict yourself to your own opinions and don't listen to even your opponents, then your own opinions will become complacent and stale. It's the world's best boxer not fighting other people because he thinks they're lesser than him. So he just sits all day in his mansion, and then his skills start deteriorating. So to keep your mind fit and to keep your opinions refined and fresh, you need to engage with your opponents and people who differ from you.
You got to keep sparring.
Else you just become stale and complacent.
Yeah, and the Dop's going to get us back on track.
To expand on that, just today, Aiden Paladin released a pretty good video called Bill Nye, the Bachelor's Degree Guy and Science Fetishization, where she breaks down all the science fetishization and cult movement going on recently. And yeah, I recommend it. I'm linking it in the site, in the stream chat. So
and we're very fortunate that Karen showed up. Her man is probably trying to sleep. So what have you been listening? Yeah. Do you want to, because it's always good to get a female's idea on this cult thing, because I think that, I know I've seen it firsthand, and with all due respect, cults that I've worked for and that I'm still involved with, females always bear the brunt of shaming people. they're like the ones that are expected to, get the kids in line, get your husband in line, get everybody in line. And then if something goes wrong, they're always the first one that's like, well, you wore that short dress to church, Carrie, and that's why the guy had an affair on his wife with a woman that doesn't even know you.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous when it comes to that stuff. No, I heard you say that the cult of science. Did you really say the cult of science?
Yeah, I did.
Well, no, I said that science can be a cult. I do agree with that. Yes, there is cults of science.
And
Okay.
I alluded to cult of
It has
science.
the potential to become a cult. Yes.
All right. Well, you
Carrie,
know, whenever
though, with respect, at that point it would be pseudoscience, though, young lady. I can't say at that point it would be science.
yeah,
But they would still call themselves scientists and belonging to science. So that would be just science regressing into like a religious form almost.
yeah, and
Where
the majority,
ultimate truth-
the scientific community, they don't. I mean, yeah, they kind of branch off into their own little subsets, but as a group, you're not. It's not a cult-like nature. They don't worship one
But
individual.
we're not saying
or
it is
one- or
currently a
one
cult.
thing.
We're talking about the potential for it to become a cult. That it has that potential
But
to become
how?
a cult.
Well, it already.
Well, explain.
It already
No,
is.
I know you-
Okay,
I know
how
you're-
you have
yeah.
Bill Nye the Science Guy saying that global warming is a real thing, and if you don't believe in it, you should be arrested. That's a cult. If you don't agree with us, and there's not a lot of scientific
I
evidence
can also
for it.
build on that. For example, science, again, I always reference this philosopher, Karl Popper. He said that science, as soon as you stop being skeptical about scientific facts and constantly refining scientific facts, and the truth that you have now becomes an ultimate truth, then science regresses to becoming an ideology. Then science no longer is the search for truth. Then science just becomes this claimer of truth. It becomes a
Okay,
religion.
I don't disagree with you there. I mean, what Nye did, Jesus Christ, how fucking embarrassing.
For
But you do-
example, yeah.
But just to understand, Bill Nye, he's not really like a scientific figurehead. He's more of like a
Well, he goes on
Like a
CNN as a
cultural-
scientific authority.
cultural spearhead. Well, I'm talking about the Netflix thing because that's what everybody has their feathers ruffled about. Yeah, he's fucked up. He's trying to appeal to the younger kids.
Yeah,
Just to
my
try
problem
and get
is
them into the STEM
people that say, "Oh no, but Bill Nye isn't a scientist and doesn't represent the scientific community." He goes on CNN and they interview him as if he is a scientific authority, and then he uses his opinions to then direct public opinion. He has
Okay,
opinions
they have their
on
own
fields that he
agenda.
has
They
an
have their own
expertise in.
agenda. They're doing that. They're representing Bill Nye in that light to try and make science look like a fucking joke. How can you not see that? I mean, it's not like they're bringing in Dawkins and going, Dawkins, what do you think about it? Because obviously he's not a science or a
I doubt whether the mainstream
environmental
media has an agenda against science. If they
I'm not saying
if they
mainstream
want to
media. You're
embarrass
talking about
science, I
CNN,
don't
you're
agree
talking
with
about
that.
CNN, you're talking about Fox, you're talking about Tucker Carlson. I see all of this shit too. But they bring on Bill Nye because he's not a scary one to talk to. They can talk over him, talk him down, whatever. If they brought someone else that knew what the hell they were talking
He won't
about.
bring up
Bill Nye, he tries to
controversial
bulldog, but I would just say this. I agree with you, Carrie. They need to watch who they represent, because the fact of the matter is they keep saying that all of the scientists believe in what Bill Nye's represent. No, they don't. In fact, most scientists are like, global warming, you think that human beings have, and besides that, a lot of people.
No, that is completely incorrect. No, they do not. There are the science community, like climatologists, climate scientists.
What science community though? There's many of them.
Hang on. Climate scientists. This is all they study. They're the ones who are in agreement with one another and other officials. I mean, we have to start from somewhere. So we have to say, okay, we have to say, do we trust scientists or do we not?
No, I don't. No.
You don't? Okay, well then, all right, we know where your argument's coming from. I do.
I don't trust scientists.
But you just said, wait, hang on a second, Carrie. No, you don't know where my argument's coming from, because you just said, do I trust scientists? No, you got to say which one.
No, I said science.
Then I would have to.
Yeah, you have to say what these scientists are claiming.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, do I trust the empirical method? Yes, absolutely.
Okay, there you go. That's
do I
what
trust scientists? No. Do I trust science? No.
By default, no.
The empirical method, as long as it can be reproduced, then I believe it. Yes.
Okay, well, if it can be reproduced, fantastic.
Right. Well, I mean,
that's
because
the
I say
scientific
things
method.
shady
That's what
because I want people to talk and argue, of course.
No, that's what
I
I
mean,
was. That's what I was asking you. That's what I was asking you. I didn't say scientists. I said science, which means the scientific method.
Of course, I believe in the empirical method only.
As far as I can tell, and you go through the numbers and you go through the data and the stuff that they're providing you with. I mean, you have to try
Okay, yeah, no.
and
But
bring
we
that
need
all
to-
in. You
you
can't
need
just go by
to,
what one
remember
person is
that
saying.
there are two debates. The one which is pretty conclusive is that the Earth is warming. There isn't much debate on that. The real debate among still scientists is the amount of the proportion of the effect that humanity is contributing to this warming.
Mhm.
That's the biggest question. That still has a lot of dissenting voices against it. There
Curiously
isn't,
enough, that was the
Okay.
stumbling point for Bill Nye actually on Tucker Carlson interview where he wasn't able to actually give some reasonable estimate to what degree humanity is impacting that.
Okay. Well, do you guys agree that there is something going on? Whatever its name,
No,
whatever its name,
I'm pretty
whatever
sure
its
the Earth
name
is
may
getting
be.
warmer. Like that's
Whatever its name
Like,
may be,
there's
there's
definitely
something going on.
One of the big reasons why they say the
global
world
warming
is
is
getting
definitely
warmer right
going
now
on,
is
yes,
because
but
the guy that started the Weather Channel, he'll tell you that in the old days we had thermostats with mercury, and they were wherever they were. So a lot more at airports in the shade was a good way to say, because they'd always say it's 90 in the shade because it's in the shade. You don't want to get a real true reading. Well, what they do now is they put very, very sensitive thermostats on the tarmac of airports, and they say that and what they're saying right now, Carrie, listen, what they're saying is that the temperature has gone up 2.3 degrees in the last, I believe, 25 years. I don't have it right in front of me. They can't know that because 25 years ago they were very well. I'm going to tell you if you listen, and this is not coming from me. I'm paraphrasing the man that started the Weather Channel. He is a scientist. He does a lot of research, and this is what he's saying: that they didn't have very sensitive instruments. Well, I don't know if he's a dickhead. I don't know anything about him other than his research, and that is pretty sound. Their instruments weren't as accurate as they are now. So the idea in 1985 of getting a really, really to the 0.001 degree reading was out the window. And then now we have that, and where are they taking the measurements from? I'm a farmer, girl. The seasons change and they go up and down, and the winters are harder some winters and the summers are harder some summers, but I can track it. And here where I'm at, it goes in 7-year cycles. It's very, very hot one year and then going cooler in the summers for 7 years. And then boy, that 7th year will be very cool summer, like our summer the year before last. And then this year we've already had a 80-degree day, and where I'm at, that's unheard of this time of the year. But this is the beginning of the 7-year cycle again. And look, I could ramble on, Carrie, but I want you to know, for years, for millennia, human beings have relied on a number of things. But I think the things that have probably, in my opinion, served humanity best is the mixture of human experience and knowledge, written, passed on. But this is what's been going on, and scientific experiment and reproduction. Those things combined. And I don't see, they said, the whole inconvenient truth, and don't let me ramble, Carrie, but you see where I'm going? I listen to these people.
I'm just listening to you.
No,
I listen to these people, and this is, go ahead, because you know where I'm going and where I've already went. I'm done. You listen to these people and they say things that ain't happening.
Okay. Well, are you going back? Are you going back a couple decades? Are you going back hundreds of years, thousands, millions? What are you doing?
Well, I just paraphrased, and I think he said that he would have to go back to the 80s. What is that? 32 or so years.
So you're going back my lifetime, because I'm about 35.
So you're not talking about, you're not asking me about my paraphrasing I don't even know his name. That's how bad I am right now. The guy that started the Weather Channel. Are you asking me how far my knowledge?
No, I'm asking you personally. Like you.
Mine would go back.
You're noticing a 7-year cycle. So are you just going back a couple decades for yourself?
I tie it back into my stepdad, and that would go back to his father, and so it would go back to about. Since I can go back and actually get records and say this is what the year was like in 1920, this is what that goes back to about 18. So I'd have to look 1892. That's when in Owasso, Michigan, the first of my stepfather's relatives came from Czechoslovakia.
So about 100 years, and within that little amount of time, there's already been huge changes that have happened just with the planet. I'm not talking about like weather. I'm talking about climate.
What changed?
Yeah, but I think it can be summarized in this manner. the Earth has gone through different phases. Like, for example, the Ice Age. We're currently within the eternal summer, and there is definitely increase in temperature. I believe this. There's pretty much a consensus as well in the scientific community that the Earth is warming. But the big crux of the issue is, and where the clashing comes in, is the question of how much is humanity contributing to this. Because
Yeah, exactly.
if it is a large amount that humanity is contributing, then
What
we
do
go
y'all
to all
think?
these global warming issues, as in what policies should we implement, how can we control it, whatever. But if
What
it's
do y'all
not
think? How much
humanity,
are
the entire political issue falls flat, because then it's not applicable anymore. So
Yeah,
how
and
much are people
I see what
contributing in y'all's
and I
opinion?
see what you're saying about the whole political angle with it too.
Mm.
Because if they promote it in politics, then somebody has something to gain from it. Somebody's going to make
Yes,
some money
exactly.
off of somebody trying to implement green this, green that. I totally get
Yeah,
that,
or
but
whether it's a carbon tax or whatever.
yeah,
So
but there obviously
that's where the
is
big issue
something
is, and
going on, and we need to get just past all the small, just paranoid things, and just say, okay, we obviously
yeah, but
have a
that's why I
problem
want to
going
get that
on.
in,
The
because I
oceans
think
are
then
rising.
we're on the same page.
The oceans are rising.
Yeah,
We're running
because
out of
then I
fresh.
think
We're
we're on the
running
same
out of
page.
fresh
I want that
water,
in.
fucking everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think the running out of fresh water it's a whole different theory. That I'd have to do my research there. But as far as global warming goes, the big debate at the moment is how much are we contributing. I personally don't believe we're contributing as much as is being reported.
At
I
all?
think it's much less. I think it's more due to the Earth's natural temperature cycle that the Earth is warming, not.
It's pretty
the
homocentric
majority.
to consider that that people are contributing to. It's really, really homocentric in my mind.
To expand on the natural Earth cycle, I believe that scientists say there isn't one single cycle, that actually there are several longer and shorter and even much longer cycles, depending both on Earth itself, on the sun, on our position in galaxy and whatever. So yeah, there are overlapping cycles, and on the other hand, at least some scientists I saw claiming that the current rise of temperatures is much faster, apparently, than what has been occurring in the past.
That's great. Were there a lot of scientists 300 years ago keeping track of that, Doc?
Well, no. That's why
there's ways of finding out that.
Oh, there's ways, but I would say this: all the records that I was all the records I was bragging about that I have, they'll be worthless in another probably. I don't know. I would say that I definitely agree with what you said, Doc.
The difference is that analysis from various records, mostly archaeological records, may have some kinds of effects that kind of smooth out spikes, both high and low in temperature. That we don't know yet.
Yeah, you can just look at the records of farmers from as far back as possible when people were like writing things down. Like just look at like the crops that they've recorded. Like whenever they would do a harvest, see how big it was, see how small it was, see what kind of condition it was in. That will tell you the kind of environment and weather and climate these people were living in.
Yes,
also the kind of wear and tear that they had on their animals, their own bodies, their teeth, what kind of stuff they were eating, what they were able to grow. I mean, all of that stuff ties in, and it's just like a little breadcrumb trail that will lead you to the answers if you just follow it. But it just seems everybody gets so bogged down in all the paranoid stuff. It's just like, fuck all that stuff. Just look at the information that's in front of you. If you don't trust the information that's coming from one person, go to another source. That's why there's more than one scientist.
But when you start talking about stuff from the past, Carrie, one of the big things is there's too many.
I didn't see you come in. Sorry.
There are far too many variables involved in that. Even with crops, for crying out loud, we don't even grow the same type of crops, although they're similar in many ways. Some of these crops have been aged, modified. You can't sit up and use crop yields as an example, whether or not it's hot or cold or anything else.
I'm just talking about from hundreds of years ago. Not even that. Not even.
But the problem is what we're doing now is we're measuring. Well, the problem is now we're using
because I remember from recent visit to a museum. Actually, they had on display crop grains from a few hundred years ago, and they were much smaller than the ones we're having today. Just a few hundred years ago, like maybe 1,000 years ago, here the crops were radically different.
Yeah, because
Right, but
science
the
got
problem
involved,
is
and
now
you
when
have
you
a bigger
start,
yield now.
but
Science
Carrie,
again.
Carrie,
Yeah, I
we
know.
don't have a consistent benchmark then. We're moving benchmarks saying, well, I'm going to use this to judge this. Then it
No,
falls
not really,
apart.
because all you have to do is
No,
go
because all
back to
we're
that
doing right
one
now,
part of
what
hang on.
time where
benchmark are you
where it
using,
changed.
Carrie?
Just go. All you have to do, if you want to use the crop thing, just go back to the part in time when science got involved with crops and started modifying things, and then you can see. You just stop there.
That's the same.
I'm not saying
that-
you can tell
You
what
can't
went
tell
on
climate
back then.
from that, though.
I'm not trying
Because
to
that
compare
is
then.
relatively new. When you're talking about these large time frames, though, and you're trying to expand it out into these large time frames, our ability to actually
That's not a
measure
large
them.
time frame, though. That's
Hang
a
on
very
now,
small
folks. Wait
time
one
frame.
second. One second. This is a deep topic, and I'm glad MC's here, Carrie, because what he'll do is I'll
Yeah.
let you two talk about it, but let him finish an idea, and then you finish an idea too, because I haven't heard like full ideas from either one of you yet.
Okay,
So
go
finish
ahead.
what you were saying, MC, and then respond to
When
it.
you
Carrie,
talk
you're
about the
capable.
large time frames of saying how the temperatures are changing, all
Mhm.
right, and then trying to then extrapolate why the temperatures are changing. All we can do is say we believe that the past was warmer and cooler at different times, and this is why we believe it to be so. But the facts are is that we only now, fairly recently, have the ability to measure. And one of the things that we've gone through since the 1700s was a major change in how our measuring devices work and how accurate they've become. When we're talking about major changes in temperature, it is only since the 1960s since we've really had the technology to really measure things in an accurate methodology. All right, so now when you talk about from the 1960s to the year 2012, for example, you're talking, what, 50 years? And then try to say, okay, this is due to man-made things. You can't do that.
Carrie, let
Okay.
her respond to that. Don't give her too much, MC.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so I'll go back to the first thing that you said, and you said that we didn't start actually recording temperatures very accurately until the 1960s. Is that what you said?
We didn't have the tools to measure accurately until about the 1960s.
Okay. All right. Let me see. What I was trying to say was, if you need to find evidence for how climate was back hundreds of years ago, let's not even go hundreds of years. We'll just go 100 years. All you have to do is just look at the people, look at the environment that they lived in, like their houses, what they use, stuff like that. It's evidence. But
no,
I'm not saying that we had thermometers. I'm not saying we had digital thermometers.
Yeah, but they also didn't have air conditioners. They also didn't have a lot of things. You're saying
hang on. I'm not saying that we're going to be going off the populace's opinion of what the weather feels like. I'm saying the smart people we have now, the very intelligent, they have lots of knowledge people that we have now, can go back and dig through all of these little pieces of evidence that will lead them to these conclusions, not their beliefs, to their conclusions that are provided by evidence that this is most likely, according to the evidence, the way it was.
No, I disagree with you.
Scientists
The
don't run
scientists
on
that we
belief.
have today, especially the environmental scientists that we have today, do not approach it from the standpoint of I could be wrong. They approach it from the standpoint that I'm right and I'm going to prove I'm right, and they dig for evidence to say this is why I'm right. This is why you end up with emails to Carrie, all right, where they said, this guy just did a paper, it's peer reviewed. How do we hide this? When they're talking amongst themselves, which is what the East Anglia emails demonstrated.
Okay, so once again, we're back to the conspiracy part of it.
It's not a conspiracy when you get emails from the scientific community talking back and forth saying, how can I suppress this?
Oh shit! Hey, Dad's here. Hang on a second. Dad's home. Calm down,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Hey, Brett, how you doing? We were just chilling. Nothing was going on.
Just innocent fun,
That's
you
sounds
know.
over guilty, though.
Okay, hang on.
No, but they're talking about climate. Can I pop in just for 1 second? Don't nobody mute me. Just 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say this. One thing I got to give to you, MC, is you are using what we can measure and reproduce. I said I love empirical evidence. I don't hear any empirical evidence from anything else. We can look back here and then we can make conjectures. So even if you leave out the email, but remember, Carrie, What you're talking about is conspiracy theory. It's way a long time ago. You're conspiring with other people that
No,
think you
that
know
is not
something.
even close to what a conspiracy
What you
theory
just
is.
said,
No.
that it was so it's not even close to conspiracy theory what MC said then, or you have to agree that they're both conspiracy theories. Or
no,
neither
I
one
don't
are.
have to.
They're just people coming
Okay,
together.
go ahead, finish. Go ahead and finish.
Well, no, I'm done. They're just people coming together with different ideas. There's no conspiracy
No,
theory in either
one
one.
is a conspiracy theory and one is science.
I'm
I'm sure.
What you're talking about is conjecture. It's not science.
No, I'm
It's like
sure there are plenty of emails, and I'm sure there are plenty of dirty people that are involved in
Don't do
science.
that again, Dop. We're both talking. Don't do that again. Listen, what you're talking about is conjecture. There's no science in it. If it is, reproduce it or prove it. There were no tools to measure, and
Well,
it
we
is
have
not
to
science.
have-
It's
okay, we
it's
have to
pseudoscience. It's your
have-
opinion based
we
on
have to
what
have the
someone
time.
told you.
We have to have the time to allow that
Sorry,
stuff
can I just
to
interject
be
quickly?
observed. To be
What
observed.
exactly is pseudoscience?
It's a fake science. Pseudo means
No. I understand that, but what precisely are you describing as?
Well, I was just
pseudoscience?
giving back as good as I was here and being given. So if someone comes to you and says there were emails saying we got to hide this actual evidence, and then someone says that's a conspiracy theory, well, I'm going to take what they said, being that, oh, the stuff that happened thousands of years ago. Hang on now, please, girl, hang on, please. Because you were saying we can look at something that happened a long time ago and make conjecture about their habits and what they did, and then say it was this temperature on this day. You cannot do that. And both of them could be called a conspiracy theory to dismiss them. But neither one is. It's just different ideas.
Okay.
May I
So-
interlude in this?
I did not say that his email accusation was a conspiracy theory. I said we're falling back into the conspiracy theory part.
Well, it
And
all is a conspiracy theory.
Ogre, the thing you just did was a straw man in that Carrie did not claim.
Straw man.
Yeah,
I just said what she said. I got it on tape, Dop. You can't do that to me. I didn't build no straw man. I just said that. Hang on. She said, no way. You can't do that to me. That's very disingenuous. I didn't build no straw man. I said almost verbatim what she just said. And as soon as I started saying it, she said no, because when she hears her words repeated, it's not even an argument. There's no argument. Listen, were you there 400 years ago, Dop? Were you there? Were you there for
argument? Because what Carrie was saying was not about some very precise measurement on some particular day. Instead, the argument was going about trends. About trends of increasing or decreasing temperatures.
Thank you. That's why.
So how do you know what the trends were 1,000 years ago?
Because we follow the evidence that people
because you
that
decide
live.
that you want to believe something based on what you think you
No,
know. There is no.
I don't.
How do I reproduce what you believe?
I operate in reality. Scientists are scientists for a reason. I'm not a scientist for a reason.
Okay, how do I reproduce what you believe about science, about climate change? How do I reproduce it to be empirical?
I just said we have to have climate science is a very new thing. We have to have the time for it to continue, so we can watch this stuff happen in front of us.
Oh, where's he saying?
I mean, seriously, that is all that has to happen.
Everybody wins. Everybody gets a trophy today.
No, nobody wins. Nobody wins because it's not a competition. I'm not trying to beat anybody. I'm just trying to bring the other side of the argument.
All I'll say is that evidence that we have that has scientific empirical backing is all recent. It's just like MC said, and probably even more recent, I would say, than the 60s, because that's when it started getting really. So I don't know if you think that that they can tell what's going to happen in 20 years from now, or if they could possibly. If you can predict what the weather's going to be in 10 minutes, I think that I could drum up some people to give you $1 million if you could continue to do that. So I would just say that, you know, it's all conjecture, whatever, man.
That's a meteorologist.
But so far, no, but they're not scientists. That's also just, anyway, meteorologists are scientists, but remember, there's weathermen and there's meteorologists. So meteorologists are scientists. But there's weathermen that just go out there and look at the map and they think about the clock in the stream.
Talking about weather.
And look, it was getting heavy, I think, on some people's minds. And I'm real adamant about stuff. But I could argue.
No, it's okay. I do not mind having these.
I want you to know, Carrie, I could argue either side. I really could, because it's
I
just.
And because one side's ridiculous and one side's not.
Yeah, the side you're arguing is ridiculous.
We'll agree to disagree, and that's fine.
Well, there's no records from back then. I can say it 1,000,000 times. If you
what
call
kind of records are you?
This is what I'll say.
What kind of records are you talking about?
When you go to ridiculous, when you start saying that people's ideas are ridiculous, that's worse than a straw man, because then you're trying to dismiss it based on your dumb or whatever. You're ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's an excellent argument.
Example of an indisputable record. Very nice and very visible or visual example are reef atolls, basically islands that were built by coral reefs growing around volcanoes or underwater mountains. And basically, because we can see many of them now above the surface of water and they only can grow under the water, we know that current level of water in the oceans is way below the neutral level. Right now, the water is below.
You don't know that, Mark, because you don't know whether or not that land has risen. You don't know if there's been push up because of magma.
We don't know
I mean, there's
general,
a lot of factors.
but we do know. But we do know at least or at least we can, with first certainty, say about at least some of them.
Well, we can say the only thing that you can say for facts or with reasonable certainty is that at some point in time this land was above sea level or this land was below sea level.
Yes.
Why? Because you have other types of evidence that support that. All right.
Yes.
Why it's now above sea level or why something has fallen below sea level, however, always ends up in a point of conjecture, because unless we've witnessed it. Now we have witnesses. We have witnessed islands being born. We have witnessed islands and atolls collapsing in and onto themselves in areas that have gone down and shrunk. All that's true. And in those cases where we've documented it, we have documentation, we can reasonably then say, yes, this is what happened. All right. We can't necessarily say why it happened, but we can say reasonably that it has happened. When you talk about a 50-year time frame, though, and then you try to apply it to the minimal amount of records that we have, let's say in the 1600s or the 1500s or the 1300s, right? It becomes really slippery because when you're trying to quote unquote analyze trends. Now, I won't say that the Earth is not warming. That's never been a contention of mine. I won't say that the Earth is cooling because I don't know. I do know that in order for global warming, the way it's been described to take place, is that the amount of energy that the sun gives off comes into the Earth must be reflected back to the Earth due to what they call greenhouse gases. We have yet to see anything like that, and we don't have the technology yet, all right, that's been deployed in order to actually look at that. Now, could we put up something that does that? Could we actually analyze that and then try to establish those kind of trends? Yes, we could. However, there's a group of people, and it's mainly the climate scientists, that don't even want that because they're claiming that that's just a waste of resources.
Which climate scientists are these that you're talking about?
The same
I want to know. I want to know.
Anglia, that are running with the UN, that everything was described on the UN. You even had the Obama administration people admit that they actually phonied up data for the Paris Accords to get that pushed through. This is no longer a science.
If you don't mind, could you send me those links wherever you want to send them? I don't care. Send them to me on Twitter. If you don't mind, because I really want to look into this stuff because I really just, it's blowing my mind right now. But I really want to look into the things that you guys are saying. Well, I really want to so I can understand.
Look, I'm glad that MC is here because I have not prepared for this, and I didn't, I could take either side, Carrie, I'll be honest. But this is the good thing. And this is what I want to know from you, Carrie, and from you, Doc. Mm-hmm. Do you all think that we should do anything? This is why I'm adamant about the one side, because I don't care really about which is right on this, what we're talking about. But do you think we should do anything legislatively about people to stop global warming?
I would say push more money towards the science to figure out, to see what we do need to do, if we do need to do anything.
Okay, but so let me be more clear then. Do you think there should be penalties put on me because I drive a Mercury Marquis with a V8 rear-wheel drive, big monster, which gets 23 miles a gallon? Love it.
Okay, you're speaking to a female. Speak female.
So do you think that I should have to pay more for my fuel or a higher tax or more for my license because I have an F-150 Ford truck and a Mercury Marquis, both with large V8 engines that consume huge amounts of gasoline?
If you are consuming more fossil fuels, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I appreciate it. That's what I want to know. Because look, there's farmers around here, and I just mentioned my grandma. If they try to implement carbon
farmers
tax,
are different. Farmers are different.
But we can't. I won't even lie. Even though I hate what you just said, I agree with it. Because they are. Yeah. Damn right they are. But I would like it if we were egalitarian in all ways. In other words, if that farmer gets the fuel for X price or has to pay X tax, I should have to do it too. Because believe it or not, around here, they hammer them. And look, I'm getting off topic. That's what I want to know from everybody. You too, Doc.
Yeah, I was going to say,
does somebody want to penalize me because I have a big gas guzzling car?
No, well, what I was going to say is I think farmers, I'm totally on the farmers team, by the way. I think that they shouldn't be charged because that's a part of the way they make their living. I don't think they should be charged the same as what the public should be charged for, like gasoline, because they're using that to make food for all of us assholes out here so we don't starve to death. So give them all the breaks that they need.
Well, how about me? I
Absolutely.
have a small homestead farm and I provide eggs. I make tons of produce in the summertime. A lot of people get my produce. It's all non-GMO heirloom strains of you name it, I got it. And all grown in just my chicken dung that comes from my chickens. They eat non-GMO corn and bugs. Anyway, you know, so so should I get those same things? Should I be able to?
I think you should get some sort of
I can get them. I could get a lot of stuff that I don't.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah, definitely, because you're taking away your carbon footprint by making your own
I get paid
food.
for the service, though. I get paid
And
for
you're
the service.
eating, and you're eating healthier, which is going to keep you out of the doctor's office, which is going to keep your bills out of my pocket.
I'm going to mute myself now because even though I agree with the idea, I don't take because of what I do. I could get tax breaks and they'd actually give me money. If I went to them, it was like, I need to build a new chicken house. And this is what they'd be like, oh, you know, here's $20,000 of a grant from Uncle Sam. But man, I don't want to take, you don't live here anymore, Carrie. In fact, I don't think, MC, I don't want to take your money, MC, so I can build a chicken house. You know what I mean? So I don't do it.
Oh, I still pay taxes. Believe me, I still pay taxes.
Oh my goodness, you must pay much, much higher rate. I don't.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
if I may, I wanted to respond to Ogre's question just as well. And I say yes and no. Basically, I'm all for the government subsidizing research and development and purchases that are clean technology, green technology, all that, because basically it's stimulating our, for example, independence from oil and other such. This is good in my books, also for geopolitical reasons. On the other hand, I would be rather careful of any movements that would try to heavily tax carbon emission. I mean, there is some merit to it, but there is also a huge potential for gaming such system, and basically any system that gives some tax and also gives some breaks to, I don't know, for example, farmers. Truth is, I would probably be able to register as a farmer pretty easily without actually being one and actually producing stuff. So careful with that. I would rather have positive subsidies than negative taxation.
I definitely appreciate that. It's still hard for me to think, because even though I think about the food, and even if you do it my way, or if you're using Monsanto's corn and fertilizers and pesticides, Roundup, it's all Roundup ready. I just don't, you have a business and the business is paying you. So anytime, for example, in this state, and in fact, I think every state, if you tell Uncle Sam in the spring, in fact, if you tell him it's not even in the spring, it's like in October. So if you tell them at harvest time that the next year you're going to plant 100 acres of corn, they figure that you're going to get, I think it's 60 bushels of corn an acre, and they give you $2, and last year was $2.75 a bushel subsidies for corn you have not yet grown. You have no idea what the weather's going to, nothing. So even if you don't grow the corn, Uncle Sam never comes and says, give me the money back. They're giving that money as a subsidy. And remember, what the government wants, it subsidizes. What it doesn't want, it taxes. So in my heart, again, I want my farmer friends around here to continue to make a living, but I know a lot of them, the ones that are good business people, they don't do poorly. They are very, 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 very wealthy. The ones that do, and I don't just mean the large farmers either. There's farmers around here that are shrewd. In fact, the Amish, I guarantee you, acre for acre, they beat everybody into the dirt because they got no overhead. Well, they have horses, but the horses, and I could go on and on. So if you're a farmer and you're intelligent, you don't need, and the government does not subsidize the Amish because they operate on this little theocracy they have. So the government won't give them a dime, and they don't need it. They don't want it. But boom, that was a long damn thing. You should have muted me on that, Mark.
You're fine. You weren't ranting. That wasn't a rant. You're just talking.
Well, no, but I want other
I was
people's
late
opinions on that.
I saw British show came in very quickly. Did he just come in to say hi?
No,
I think maybe we were arguing.
Yeah, I think he was coming in to maybe give me a little bit of more on the side that I'm trying to come from. And then he just figured out. He's like, fuck
so
it,
he's
they're
just
fine.
listening.
Let him go.
No, I think that he came in to tell us to not argue. Or I don't know. I have no idea. I will say this:
knock it off,
he
children.
Does, right.
Knock it
You
off.
heard me. I was like, Dad's here. He does like 2 videos a week, and for him, I mean, they're usually 10 to 22 minutes long, somewhere around in there, and he writes the whole. I really appreciate people that show that level of dedication. That's it. That's all I can say about it. So he's off working, when he comes in, he's got a board time, and he came in. Look, man, he wanted to probably talk about Syria, or we started about Poland, and we never even really got there, Dop. We should before we leave. And then Carrie and I and MC got to arguing about whether or not the fucking world's getting hotter, like any of us really know. But it's fun, and
I can tell you what, Florida is fucking hot as hell.
I could take your side. In fact, I say your side, Carrie, but I don't have a side in that. I don't have a dog in that fight. The only dog I have is what I just got clarified to me from you folks. But I don't want to be taxed over.
That's just because it's Florida. That's just because it's Florida. That's hell incarnate.
Oh, I lived in Orlando and New Smyrna and Daytona.
Dear God, yeah, you know about heat.
Deltona, Daytona. I got family in Longwood, Florida now, in Altamont Springs, Orlando area.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking hell.
Without July and August, you can just kiss that shit goodbye. You can't breathe.
98 degrees, 98% humidity. You go outside, you just feel like an elephant sitting on your face.
No, it's like trying to breathe through a wet sponge.
Oh,
it's fucking awful.
Today was Freedom Day in South Africa, so so I put that. I'm projecting the thing I posted on Twitter for yesterday.
Oh, thank you, sir. And did you also brought something up about the I got to present you. I'm trying to present my other screen. You brought something up about South Africa in Twitter with me. So if you want to talk about that at all.
Oh yeah, no, we can talk about that. It's the stats are from last year, but I actually want to discuss it briefly. It's pretty eye-opening.
That's great. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Albert.
Yeah, I'll present that on the screen, and other people can read as well. Yeah.
Oh, I did. I popped it up there. It's been up there for a minute.
Oh, shot. Yeah, no, I see.
That's good stuff.
I love Albert Camus. I read his The Outsider. It's an absolute masterpiece.
Oh, I've seen that before. I've seen that quote before. It's fantastic because it's the truth.
I tried to talk a little bit about it before, Kirkle, about how we all get wrapped up in the idea of minorities, and when anybody says minority here in the United States, in fact, I heard Whoopi Goldberg, there was a big quote from her where she was like, I'm paraphrasing, but she said, and by the year 2045, white people will be a minority. And she was like, I can't imagine them being called minority, but you're a minority. You're white. Aren't you white? I never even seen a picture of you. Are you white?
I'm white, yeah.
Yeah, and you're a minority where you're at.
Yeah. I'm less than 10%. I represent.
Heaven forbid I would say that. I'm a racist for saying that, right?
Though I do have African blood in me from my heritage, somewhere along the line.
Thank you, MC. MC stepped out too. Thank you for coming in, brother. I figured he would on that conversation. He's got his stance. So, and that is amazing to some people, though. It's a stunner for them to imagine that there is a white
minority. But I'm a minority with even smaller bracket. I'm in the Afrikaans white bracket, which is a cultural and language, a culture and a language. Yeah. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting experience living in a country, being a white minority, and then people on Twitter attacking me and say, "Oh, you've never known what it felt like to be a minority." It's like, bitch, because everyone talks from that context that they all come from white majority countries, so they all use that as their background in all their arguments, and they just assume that's the norm everywhere.
Yeah, that's crazy because even on Earth as a whole, white people are the minority.
But that makes South Africa such an interesting case study. Is if you really want to see a diverse country and how it functions and all the issues, all the challenges, but also the benefits, then you only have to look at South Africa. We have 11 official languages.
It's 420, everybody.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, so we have a huge diverse spectrum in terms of language, culture, race, religion. We're just this melting pot of rejects from all across the world. Doesn't matter which race you're from. All the races here are pretty much were either chased away or ran away or came here looking for a better life or moved here. So we're all just thrown into this melting pot of diversity, I guess.
Sounds like Australia and America were the same way. Yeah. They don't like to mention it much in the history books, but America was also a place where they sent criminals. It's like, you got your last chance there, dude. You're going off to the colonies.
I actually have a pretty interesting story from how one of my ancestors got here. One of my ancestors came from Scotland, and somewhere in the, I can't remember where, I think in the 1700s, but this is not my first ancestor, it's somewhere along the line. And he was on his way to New Zealand, and when the boat came by Cape Town, he kicked the captain's dog and they threw him off the ship, and he was stuck in South Africa and decided to stay. So if that didn't happen, I wouldn't exist.
Yeah. So that was your ancestor? Yes,
one of my ancestors, yes.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it is 422, but I'm going to do this one on the bong spot. Look, it was, I got to say it too, because if I get heated and I got all adamant on you, Mark, but yeah, of course, mute me again, anybody. But
with pleasure.
I do love a game debate, and I like to hear people doing it. My wife, on the other hand, I watch these shows. I used to watch Bill O'Reilly even before the old, unfortunately. I don't know. Carrie, did I already bug you about that? I mean, do you think this is totally off of the whole South African topic? It's so good. It is cool that is your ancestor, but this has been bugging me. As somebody that's been involved in ministry and churches, listen, if it was found out that I was in the cradle roll room with the door locked with Mrs. Jones, and Mrs. Jones could be 14 to 84, I'd be fired. And I might be able to make some kind of tearful apology, which I've never had to do anything like that, thank goodness. But I might be able to make some kind of tearful apology about it, but which I would never do, so I'd just resign. But the trick is, I mean, there's a certain standard. So the whole Bill O'Reilly thing, and not just Carrie, but gracious, man, as a woman, I've got a project because of the patriarchy and whatnot. Don't you feel like that was okay? He should have been fired. She's gone. That's groovy.
Oh.
I don't care who talks about it, but I'm telling you, I've been celebrating. Tucker Carlson took his spot. I mean, I'm not in love with any figure.
Tucker Carlson's the man on the up. He's really, his career has come out of nowhere, and he's just achieving immense success.
Well, he's been on PBS, he's been on MSNBC, he's been on CBS, Crossfire. He's been, I mean, I wouldn't say it come out of nowhere, as in it seems like he keeps getting like kicked around, but then, Megyn Kelly's slot, and then boom. I mean, he's man on the rise for sure.
I like the guy, though. He's solid. He's based.
So you don't want to touch the Bill O'Reilly thing. What do you think should happen? I mean, if you're in a position of power and you call some chick and you just are like, hey, look at this, and she don't even know it, and you're just there like, hey, I'm Bill O'Reilly, check it out. I mean, that's I don't know.
I haven't read up too much on the Bill O'Reilly issue. It doesn't really interest me, so I don't really have much knowledge on the topic. So haven't
that's
really.
Fine. I'm glad they fired his ass. We can leave it at that. I am glad they fired him, or whatever he was. Whatever.
I don't know. Bill O'Reilly in my world is pretty irrelevant, so it wasn't big.
He's irrelevant in every world. That's what I'm saying. In my base, I'm glad he's gone. You said Tucker Carlson's on the rise. He's probably no more relevant than Bill O'Reilly is in your world.
Excuse me?
I said you were saying that Tucker Carlson's on the rise, but in reality, he's probably no more relevant in your world than Bill O'Reilly is.
Oh, yeah, no. Tucker Carlson is more relevant to me because he's actually tackling relevant issues from a fresh perspective, not Bill O'Reilly's moldy old perspective. So I think Tucker Carlson brings something new to the like, I don't know what you call it, the commentary show. What would you call the genre that Bill O'Reilly was part of his show?
News commentary.
Yeah, so I think Tucker Carlson brings a fresh take to that, a take that's more understandable and relatable to today's audience.
Oh, and you gotta love it when he just laughs in people's face. He's like,
yeah. Or that look of perpetual confusion that's on his face.
He does a Muppet look.
He just looks like his mouth is kind of open and his eyes squint.
Yeah. And it's perfectly flat. He looks like a fucking Muppet. He looks like a mixture between Bert and Ernie, like they collided, and then there's Tucker Carlson. But he does that well, whatever it is. Anyway, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
MC
Tucker Carlson is perpetually
wants to talk about the
perplexed.
nuclear deal.
He is, girl, and you know what he talks about. And now that you're back, I don't want to pound on it, but what do you know or care about the Bill O'Reilly thing? And do you think he should like still have a show, or what do you think about that shit? Do you know what he
I
did?
don't know too much on it. I know he was accused of sexual harassment. But the way that climate is right now amongst women saying sexual harassment, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. And he is a little bit of a celebrity, and he does work for Fox, so he may have been a target. But he got paid out. He got a huge
25
payout.
million.
Yeah, he got a huge payout. He's not crying. Fuck it.
So you think that it was like that?
Career.
What was the fat guy's name that they just drummed out for the same thing right before? The guy that kind of started it? Not Bill Ayers is what I would think coming to my mind.
Oh, damn it. Hang on. I can see.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, though.
Yes.
So do you think that maybe this is because you just kind of alluded to it? You think that it's possible that people are just saying that to just get these people out?
Yeah, I think it was a false allegation. He's never had any kind of allegations from any other female in his journalistic career.
I would say this. They've got me
now?
believing it, but now you've got me leaning the other way, because what I would say is I'm not filthy or dirty, but I would like to know that some investigator has actually seen the captured thing of him doing the old wanker do on the phone chat.
Yeah, there has to be evidence no matter what. And no
Yeah,
evidence has been has been brought up. There's no charges been filed against him. It's just been an allegation from somebody. I mean, check out Megyn Kelly. Now, I'm not saying the allegations that she made are false. I'm just saying she made the allegations to the boss of Fox of sexual harassment and sexism and all of that stuff, or misogyny, but it was real. She had evidence to go with it. So who knows? Maybe somebody got an idea and was like, fuck this guy, he needs to be out here. Or it could just be completely made up altogether and they just wanted him out and Tucker in.
When you point to the 25 million again, I mean, that does kind of hard for me to, because if the guy, I mean, if you had some hard evidence, why are you going to give the man 25 milli? That's a lot. That's no small change for anybody.
No. Well, he already had his contract in place. I think he had like maybe two years to go on it. But it has to be a severance pay because he's not quitting and they're not firing him. He's just leaving. And watch, these sexual harassment allegations will disappear. He will not go to court. He will not be convicted because the person who made the allegations, they'll just disappear.
I just saw NC in the chat said he wants to talk about the nuclear deal that was ruled unconstitutional in South Africa.
I haven't seen anything on that.
Which is a
go ahead and tell us about it.
To Putin and Russia.
Wait a second.
I put a link in the side chat.
Link, right?
I put the article in the side chat. Yeah. This was a pretty big story in South Africa, and it's also a pretty development that gives hope, because this was a pretty corrupt deal from its core.
Yeah. So this is going down in South Africa. It says nuclear deal. Court puts the brakes on the deal. Greg Nicholson reporting from South Africa, the 26th of April this year, 3 o'clock after South Africa. So it says the Western Cape High Court's ruling on Wednesday that the nuclear procurement process has been unlawful and unconstitutional won't necessarily scupper government plans to expand nuclear energy. It means the procurement process will have to begin with a clean slate, by Greg Nicholson. So, I don't know. So what are we talking about here? They don't want y'all to have nuclear power?
I'll give you a quick summary. So this was a nuclear deal we had on with Russia, but it was very sketchy and very dodgy, and it really just smelled of corruption and bribery. So I think it is worth like 1 billion, or it would have put us 1 billion in debt to Russia to build these nuclear facilities and these nuclear power plants in South Africa. And a lot of people suspected that they would have used this as like a leverage to use us for their they needed South Africa. So this development now puts the brakes on that, so it doesn't look like we're going to build the nuclear power plants anytime soon, but it forces the process to begin from the start. or start fresh. But it's
That's what
basically one
sucks.
big middle finger to Russia and Putin.
Okay, so what does this affect you negatively that you wouldn't have the nuclear power? Because this is talking about it as a nuclear energy, to power lights.
Yeah,
and
but
whatnot.
it's a positive thing because this deal would have put us in much more debt and would have. It's basically just a tool by Russia to either gain control of South Africa, but also to line the pockets of the politicians involved. Benefited South Africa in any way. It would have been just another huge contribution to our already large debt. So this is a good thing, not a bad thing, that we cancel this deal. Or well, that this deal now has to be
So where does that leave Russia?
Well, that's the thing. If they're going to have to renegotiate now, and we don't know. We don't know if they're going to put another deal on the table and whether they're just going to back off.
Well, shit.
Someone is in my neighborhood is watching Harry Potter. I can hear the theme like playing somewhere.
Oh my goodness!
Very loud.
Good God.
Have mercy on you. But it's good, I guess. That here's the thing with me. In fact, Herman Melville, in the book I've been reading from shortly in the beginning of the show, says that he refers to Russia, and I believe he wrote this. It was released in 1844. I think he wrote it around 1830, something like that. I have to look into that. Don't quote me on the year he wrote it. But he referred to Russia as that great other America. That the only thing that really separated us was a language, that the ruggedness, the determination, the ingenuity, the tinkering ability to build something from nothing was the same. And that basically the only difference was the language. And I still feel that way. And I don't know why it's always the Russian boogeyman. And I'm sure MC, man, if he's going to pop back in, he's going to pop in right now and like hit me with a cyber right hook. But it's when I was young, it's the commie scumball pigs, Nikolai Volkov in wrestling. And there's always the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov talking about the bad America. And it's trotted out this boogeyman, Russian boogeyman. And now it's again. It's like years ago, and now Russia's over there. They're doing their Russian thing, being Russians, being cool. I'm gonna wrap it up saying this: watch a documentary called "Happy People" and see the trappers in the Targa, the wild Targa, and the one man that's one of the centers of the documentary. He was dropped off up there, and I believe he said the middle 70s, and with nothing, just skis and poles and a gun and some ammunition. And he almost didn't make it, but he was eating the sable that he was catching for fur. He was eating that meat to survive. But check them out. The Russians are great people. And everybody, we just had Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I as a Jew, I appreciate it, I guess. Why do we got to think about it every in the fucking year? Can't we just forget about it already? That's what I think. But in the end, what about Russian Slaughter Memorial Day, where we remember that 78 to 85 million, and some estimates as high as 110 million Russian people were slaughtered in World War II. That kind of dwarfs the 7 million figure. Kind of puts things in perspective. Oh, there you go. But check out Happy People, and I don't want any. A finger to Russia. That's cool, Caracal. And if it makes everybody happy, I guess it makes me not happy. But whatever. I go with what Mark was saying at the beginning of the show. Anytime a life is lost or somebody's rights are trampled or a bird falls from a tree because it died of old age, a hummingbird didn't make it all the way down to Africa on its migration. To me, it's a terrible thing. It'd be better if everybody lived and everything lived forever. Never happened.
Yeah, that's my sentiment. I just saw in the chat, Billy Bong is there.
Oh, should I tweet out what I don't have everybody's thing. I will just send this out now because this is 3, 4, 5.
To Billy?
In 30 minutes, I will send this out over there because I've only got about another hour.
I believe that he's going to be doing his own stream here shortly, but I can send him. I'll send him a message.
Yeah, go ahead. Good. That'd be even better right now because that's great. Okay. If there's another one, I mean, even when I'm going, I'm one thing. I'm not as greedy. So I would suggest, as we were earlier demonstrating, that you can have all kinds of different opinions and still be friends. Go to as many of lately I've been binging on live streams and Nazi free. It's just because I just found out about Nachi Free, so I just been watching his stuff, man. I'm up to like, I'll be honest, I'm up to like video number 36.
I have a question for the rest of the guys on the panel. What are just kind of shift the topic? What are your views, each of you, on Ann Coulter not appearing at Berkeley anymore?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
What are your opinions, each of you, on Ann Coulter not appearing at Berkeley, deciding to not go to Berkeley?
I don't think that she decided it. I believe Berkeley was the one that they said yes, then they said no, then they said yes, and then
No, but then she said that she would go regardless, but then she made the call later that she wouldn't go because of safety reasons.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't really blame her, because watching Berkeley go back and forth for that long about this talk, I wouldn't have felt all that safe myself. I know it is sad, but I don't blame her. Just go to another university.
No, but things can't go on like this. Like, they can't every time threaten with violence and just nobody that disagrees with them can get a platform. That's bullshit.
Actually,
the pushback is coming, and it's not going to be coming from the alt-right. It's going to be coming. It'll be coming from the National Guard. The government is not going to put up with this shit for much longer. If the first person that is killed, both sides, they will shut both sides down.
Okay,
and that's not going to be. And that's not going to be good for. That's not going to be good for anyone, because how are you going to protest whenever you've got the National Guard standing in front of you with a gun, going, "You better shut up and calm down, or we're going to shut you up."
Hey, Cole-Pile, if you can put your earbud in, because I don't think I got any of your. I got to double check. I might have your Twitter. If I don't, I'll just shoot it out in the main thing, because I tell you what, we did have Cole-Pile on the other day, and he was way cooler than me. I mean, he was great, and we got him on after the show was over. So if you want to, Cole, just shoot it in the side in the chat there, and if I see it, I'll just send a damn link out there. I ain't scared. Carrie will kick everybody's ass.
Okay, so responding to Caracal, I believe that actually it makes certain sense to cancel events, or even preferably move them to other locations, because basically United States is big enough to be able to organize events somewhere else. You don't need to be exactly in Berkeley. And frankly, if enough people organize such events at the same time, Antifa would be stretched too thin to do anything meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
That could be simply at workable tactics to just beat them by the sheer numbers. I believe there is nothing shameful in actually giving them ground and moving somewhere else, because people, I mean the common citizens, would realize pretty soon that the organizers aren't in for the fight, they're in for actually speaking their mind.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Though sooner or later, one of them is going to want to speak at Berkeley, and then there's going to be a huge Antifa presence.
How about no? How about we just give up on Berkeley permanently, or at least for a few next years?
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, let it become a forgotten place. Why not?
Sure. That's a hard ultimatum, but maybe in the end that's what's going to have to be done.
I'm not saying lay down and die. I'm not saying lay down and roll over, but she's got to. I mean, she had to put her personal safety into perspective. I mean, she's seen what happened with Milo. She's seen what just happened with the last speaking engagement where Antifa and the alt-right finally clashed. So she's seen all this stuff, and she's seen all the crazy ass videos with all these assholes walking around with high power rifles and attitudes. I mean, I would be a little bit wary myself, especially if you don't have the establishment that you're supposed to be speaking at, if you don't have them 100% behind you. And she didn't have them 100% behind her. So I don't blame her. I don't think she was being a coward. I don't think she was given into Antifa. I think she was looking after herself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let somebody else go up in there. Let Richard Spencer go up in there. He doesn't seem to be afraid of fucking anything. So let him go do it.
Evening, Captain.
Oh, hello, Captain.
Let's keep. Ann Coulter is a very talented writer. She is intelligent, and good God, it pains me to say that, because I've never liked the bitch. But she is intelligent, and I don't want one of my fellow intelligent females out there putting themselves in danger because there's not many left.
That's a
So-
harsh take
Captain.
on it.
To you and your family, Captain.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Hi.
Hello, Carrie. I don't know if you guys can hear me very well. I'm on earbuds on a cell phone,
Perfect,
Yeah,
dude.
we
Just
can
like last
hear you.
night.
That's
Perfectly,
fine.
man.
Yeah, not too bad.
but I'm not running Dozer tonight, so I'm off tonight. So I've only got a few minutes. I just want to talk about what Carrie was talking about. Ann Coulter is a troll,
Uh-oh.
but she also has the right to be a troll. But did you guys see where Gavin McGinnis went to Berkeley and actually read her speech at Berkeley? Did you guys just see that?
Oh no, I didn't see that. Could you link us in the side chat?
I don't have a side chat.
I'll find it real quick. It just happened, Cole Powell.
Okay, cool.
I think I saw it last night. Over. I think.
Let me look. I'll just type in Gavin.
Yeah, I
Go
haven't-
ahead.
I haven't
If you just
seen
got a
that.
couple
I haven't
minutes,
seen it.
say whatever's on your soul, man.
Yeah,
Whatever you want to
let
do.
loose. Vent.
No, I'll just going to join in for a few minutes and just
So Ann Coulter is a troll.
Yeah,
Tell me
that's what
about
she's living. That's how she makes a living. I mean, I don't dislike what she says, but she has every right to say what she says. But I
Oh
believe
God, yes, she's completely outspoken, and she just says what is. She's not politically correct one little bit. She can be a little bit
Does she-
brash sometimes, but she's not.
does she do that? Does she do that to sell books, or does she do that because she's or because that's what she believes?
Well, you know what
She
she
does
says
it.
all
She
the
does
time,
it still.
Cole. She says, "What book? What sentence?" Because she's written down her views and her life and her ideas in many books, and so far she is. I'm not going to argue with you, brother. She's definitely a troll. She's the original edgelord, man. I mean, she's freaking epic. But
That's why
she
she's so
does
damn
invite-
intelligent.
yeah, that she does invite anyone to come at her. And so far, I ain't seen nobody do it properly. She's badass.
Yeah, she actually destroyed Cenk Uygur. I don't know if you guys saw that debate.
That's not difficult to do at all.
But
No,
I did
I mean,
find
we-
this link here, Copilot. That's 14 hours ago. Gavin McGinnis reads Ann Coulter's speech at UC Berkeley. I will be shooting it out into the main chat.
Yeah, it was pretty good. So
So have you been entertained?
Oh, that was
have
a-
you been entertained by the Crazy Show?
who, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know. You probably didn't see it in the chat, but I was really busting your balls in the chat over the global warming stuff. But
Oh,
Yeah, we
were
can-
you? No, I didn't. I can't look at the chat while I'm sitting there talking because it distracts me. Like I'll stop talking.
Let me clarify something. Captain Copal is actually a person working with coal, so naturally he would be.
Oh, right. All right. That's why Doppel's here, though. He busts my balls, too.
yeah, but here's the way I tell people, Doppel. Death row inmates in this country become some of the best lawyers in the world because they're reviewing their own cases. I view myself as a death row inmate, so I review. I mean, I'm actually out of it now, but for years I was looking into all the bullshit coming out of the UN science, all the climate gate emails and stuff, and so
Because
yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
end of your career if they.
that's the end of my job, man. My son is a coal miner. My son is actually underground coal mining right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's in my blood. It's in my life. My dad was a coal miner, and so yeah, you get defensive over it. Yeah.
And look, when you're coming up into Charleston on the Turnpike, and like right before down there where the Dancing Outlaws from, man.
You in North Carolina?
No, he knows what I mean. But when you're in that area, you know, a person don't have many opportunities. And so I guess the question is your son able to eat being an underground coal miner? Or does he got to go to the company store and he only makes $10 a day?
No, those days are way back. He actually makes a good living.
That's right.
He's putting down $30 an hour. He's a 21-year-old kid making $30 an hour.
Jeez, at a place where
Good
that's money
night.
there. You could have a
Good
nice
night.
house for $600 a month. You could have a really anyway.
Let him
So,
save
yeah,
his money for
it's-
like 2 years. He can build a damn house.
I could see where myself, like coal is not a bad burning product. They can have reburners, and so I don't know. They shut down a power plant close to me and put in all these windmills. I was just at the bar yesterday talking to a fellow that gets I don't want to. In fact, no way you can trace me by this. So I did put a picture of myself up in the bar. A farmer, they give him he makes $2,000 a month because there's a windmill not quite on his property but close. The neighbor whose property it's on makes twice as much as he does. And it fluctuates. He says he makes more in the summer and less in the or vice versa, whatever. He makes more in one season than the other because it's based on use. But man, the coal-fired plant didn't do that. I mean, they paid their taxes and whatever and provided energy. They didn't give anybody in the vicinity money just because they were sitting there. And that wind, anyway, I could go on. And wind energy is very, very expensive.
What would they be getting paid for if it's not on their property? Is it just like
because
a compensation
it's close and the blades are
the noise?
It's not noisy because I mean, it's right close to me, and I've driven truck before. I've been all over the United States. I've been up down the Grapevine, and it's the blades, girl. They're 190 to 250 feet long. If one of them comes off when it's going that fast, it could go and just doom, doom, and just whatever hits is done.
Like
the
tips of the blades like
here.
Wind energy is not high enough. That's the problem. The cost ratio to energy produced is actually not that efficient.
No, I'd much rather wish they had more coal-fired plants.
See,
and
I
not
don't
just
know, I don't know anything
I just
about
know
this.
what the efficiency is. And look, we've been burning. I don't know what to say other than this. And Carrie, this is nothing but opinion. But imagine back in the day when every human being had a fire going 3 times a day to cook their meal, and they burnt whatever they had to burn, whether it was buffalo chips or coal in England. That's why I raised a bird that's black, because in England they wanted black chicken so you couldn't see all the soot raining down, from 200 years ago. So are we polluting more? I mean, I'm saying burn the coal. That coal plant burning to produce my lights and electricity in this house is not equivalent to me kindling 3 fires a day and having having a fire going basically all the time for light and warmth.
I'll just have to sit here and just listen to it, because this is just not my topic. I know the bare minimum and stuff.
Well, to me, it goes back to the global warming thing, because everybody's like,
but I think we should be mining. I think we should be mining, definitely.
You think we should be?
Yeah.
Coal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I love you.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm with you. See, I agree with you on more things than you think.
That was easy.
You just assume since I'm a liberal that I'm going to.
No, sometimes I don't even disagree with you or other people, but I take the other side just because it's funner. I thought you'd just be like, no. Anyway, that was cool.
No.
Keep getting that anthracite though.
That's like his son. He's making a killing. He's making a killing on that money.
It's dangerous.
He's doing it at high risk, but he's making a killing. If that kid wants to go and do that, let him fucking go do it.
I believe it is underground, right? 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he works 10-hour shifts.
10-hour shifts.
Yeah. So
yeah, I tell you, those guys are something else.
The only thing that probably worries me the most is the black lung.
That 10 hours of such work probably counts like 20 hours of regular work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all done by machinery now. It ain't like they're hand digging anymore. But it's going back to the what Kerry was saying about the black lung. The black lung issue is not as bad as it used to. It's still an issue, but with the modern ventilation and machinery and stuff, modern ventilation techniques and stuff, it's
coal pile.
It's a lot better than it used to be.
Here's the thing. Would someone rather see somebody make meth in their back shed to make money and blow themselves up, or just be so poor they couldn't make it, or run the risk of getting black lung? And hey, coal pile, you know what? Some of your forefathers before you got black lung and fucking died when they were 58, but they left a wonderful legacy for their family. They provided for their family when they could. And us men, we're no different than Marines. Call me a gynocentric, whatever these faggots nowadays call me. But us men are here to die for our families and here to die for our wives and our children. That's what we do.
My dad actually has 60% black lung.
I'm sorry.
So it was an issue back then. He's an old man now, but he lives with it. But it's an issue. Yeah, it's definitely an issue. But there's issues with everything. I mean, you can get killed driving down the road.
That's right. And it's just to use that argument. Well, it's dangerous, and then try to couple it with, I don't know, with all due respect, Carrie, global warming or whatever else. Mm-hmm. I just don't dig it, man, because the fact of the matter is there are people in West Virginia and Virginia and Kentucky that right now are going to and fro in the earth and up and down in it, man, in their little machines. And there's a guy standing there spraying water so that the dust is, I mean, and it's all groovy and they're making money when they could just be sitting at home in their cabin, not doing shit, hoping they could shoot a deer that we can eat. Because I got family all over around that area. And then, you know, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. And then my mom and dad live in a little town in Tennessee right now. And I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities there. If a man's got an opportunity, and I will say it again, it's our jobs. I drove truck, and everybody, look, I love police officers. I love the soldier that I don't even know I love it. He's laying his life down for me, even if it's a stupid cause I don't believe in. He's doing it. So, and whoever, they're doing it. But I drove truck, man, for like 6-7 years. It fluctuates. It's always Bering Sea fisherman, most dangerous job on earth. Always. It's been that way for about 70 years. Next,
per capita.
Your logger, per capita. Yeah, your chances of dying doing your job if you're a Bering Sea fisherman is higher than any other job on earth per capita.
That's
and then next is always either logger or truck driver, and those two swap, but it's always 1, 2, 3: fisherman, logger, truck driver. And I did that for a long time. I had friends, man, that piled themselves into a ridge because they drove. You know, they went one toke over the line and drove one too many mile, man, when they should have been in the bunk. Because
since you're talking about the female male thing, I'll give you an example.
Oh, and my wife taught me to drive too, Carrie. I should say that she's a truck driver. Mama,
cool.
She's bad.
I worked at a heavy machinery. It was like a heavy machinery rental place where I grew up. I think I was 20 or 21. But what they did was they got massive amounts of like bulldozers, front end loaders, cranes, skids. Oh God, if you could think of it, they had it, and they would loan them out to these big companies. They would use them and they bring them back, and then the mechanics would work on them, get them going really good, and then there would be body damage on them just from being used, like little dents here, scratch. So they would have to clean them up, and then another big company would come in and rent them. So I came in and was hired on as doing body work on this big machinery, simply because I was nimble enough and small enough to be able to climb up on top, to be able to paint the top of them, because they were trying to do all this really fast. They were on a really strict timeline. And then I was able to apply for the job once everything was over. It was like 2 months, I believe. And I was able to apply for the job. Well, another guy was there as a temp as well, and he applied for the job. He got the job because he could handle it better than I could, and I did not get my butt hurt about it because they needed him to be able to lift like these big air compressors that had to do with the paint guns and all that, and I just wasn't able to do that. So I wasn't an asset to that company. I had fun doing it, but he got the job. Now, if a feminist heard that, she'd be like, "You need to press charges. That's sexist." But it's not. It's just that's the reality of it. I wasn't physically equipped to be able to handle that job the same way that man can. And that's okay. Because I probably would have ended up hurting myself trying to prove a point going, I can do that. I can pick that up. So
guys do that too, though. But Carrie, you do strike me. You're very tough in debate. And you don't have feelings. You're like, I'm not. I may say this with much respect.
I'm a cold-hearted bitch. I'm just
well,
kidding.
You're your typical Southern belle that you could go into the saloon and people are spitting in the thing, and you could be just the lady and have your fruity drink with an umbrella. And
I do not drink fruity drinks. I drink beer.
What do you drink? Bourbon? Beer?
I can't do whiskey. I cannot do any kind of whiskey.
You do drink beer, though, sweet thing?
Yes, I drink beer. Mm-hmm.
I don't know you, but I love you in my heart.
I drink. I like beer. I like tequila, and I like rum.
Tequila.
White
I think
rum,
most other people like tequila. So you don't like? Yeah. This is way off topic. Appleton rum. You don't like Appleton?
The only no. I'm a Bacardi girl.
Yeah, Bacardi's good when you go for the light. Anyway, as I guess enough about this. I'm gonna go get a cold beer and think of you, Carrie. I follow your ass. You know what, Carrie? You're very intriguing, and to me, some guys, I guess, do like the wilting flower, the little lily. But I tell you, my wife, she taught me to drive truck. She's 5'3". She's been 110 pounds since I met her. She still is. She's not like built, but she don't have an ounce of anything but muscle on her, and she keeps herself that way. And she's tough. I mean, I've tried to. I've tried to manipulate her and do my man thing. Oh man, gracious mercy!
She can drive a Road Ranger Ogre.
I'm no match for her. I'm no match.
So she can drive a Road Ranger transmission.
She can drive anything. She drive a Super 10, 8. She drive. Our Kenworth had a 18 with a last to the dash and you haul ass. I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
No,
18 speed with the tranny. The last part of the tranny flipped around, so you didn't drop it down into 18. You put it forward. In that Kenworth W900, we hauled furniture. You had to be going about 75 before you put it in 18. But that truck would do 130, 125 easy.
The only thing 8-speed Road Rangers. I used to drive a little truck too. The only thing I drove a triaxle. The only thing we ever had were 8-speed Road Rangers.
8-speed is the best transmission ever made, brother. Eaton Fuller?
Eaton.
Yeah, Eaton Fuller. Best transmission ever made. And now they don't haul ass, if you got
I'm totally girling out right.
Oh, sorry. He's tickling
there's like a humming noise.
I just felt like Cole Paul reached out and tickled me right behind my ear right here. It was like, that's so nice. And because I love big truck. One thing about truck drivers, if you ever was a truck driver, you're always a truck driver. And there's, they like to talk about fast women, fast cars, and fast diesel rigs with big old pipes, man. And our W9, Jenny's W9 had 9-inch cans on it. Some bitch. It sounded like hell and hellfire coming down the road. When we were coming down, I tell you, same thing, coming in Charleston, man, on 70. I mean, it just sounded like I had the 4-stage Jake. I had the extra stage in it that it would collapse the exhaust going out the top. And I'll tell you, man, when I had everything, when I had all the valves open with that Jaker and the exhaust collapse, it sounded like the end of the world. I would do it sometimes just because I've been fucking driving for 30 hours and it was a little town there. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, there you go. No more going out.
Here, over that have signs out when you come into the town. No,
that's when I hit it. No Jake brake.
Pull you over, man. They'll pull you over and fine you for lighting up that.
Man, I was coming into Tennessee on 25, coming down off of Eagle Mountain, man, just coming on down there, and I was doing 25 the whole way in third gear, and I could see the sign down there, and I heard on the CB, full-grown bear, bottom of the hill, northbound 25. I knew it, but I could see the sign. I dropped it out of and put it, and by the time I got to the sign, I was doing 65 is what I'm trying to stumble out. That cocksucking Tennessee son of a bitch come up in my truck. All the thing I can say is when I handed in my logbook, I had it all folded, and if I handed it to anybody, there was no flaws in it. I redid my logbook 3 times a day. I kept a stack of. I kept a case in the sleeper. Anyway, but he what he said? He was like, I said, well, you know what, officer? I knew that you were there. I could hear you on the CB. I knew you were there. I seen the sign and I kicked it up, and I was already to speed when I got to the sign. This was his response. Well, you can take that up with your dispatcher, son. But in the state of Tennessee, the speed limit's the speed limit till your ass passes that sign, boy. Would you please sign here, sir? Of course, I was like, yeah, officer. Thank you so much for the $500 ticket and the really good ass reaming I'm going to get from my boss.
On that note, I'm going to bid you gentlemen good night.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Hey, it was cool that we ran you off with the truck stuff, but not with the debate. You are a very game debater, very lovely, and it's wonderful. Your husband's a very lucky man, sweet thing.
I'll let him know.
Thank you.
I'll go the right way.
Cheers, Carrie.
Tomorrow.
I think that's gonna signal my departure as well. So cheers.
Groovy. Thanks a lot, Carrie.
Yeah, see you next time.
We chased everybody off.
I wouldn't say that. I probably. I mean, it's Friday. I wouldn't
get out and jump
shit yesterday.
Hey, thanks, Ogre.
Thanks a lot, Cole Pile.
See ya, Cole Pile.
Take care.
Well, it's you and me, and I'm probably leaving too. I don't know. I won't be here long. I'm gonna go get a cold beer, Dop, and it will be my third.
Yeah, that's a fitting ending to a long week, right? A cold beer, favorite easy chair, You're muted. Okay, so in any case, thank you again, Caracal, for joining us. Captain, are you still with us? No, he's gone just as well.
No, it's just you and I. No, I just had to go. My kitchen is not close. When I heard you say, "Oh, you're muted," I actually started to like trot, and I like to keep them cold, man.
Right.
Hey,
So-
I know what you're gonna say, so just say it now when everybody can hear it. You're gonna be like, I can't do your accent. I've been trying. I actually tried it when no one was listening. I tried to like reproduce your accent like I do the British, really, but I can't do it. I'll try. I'm gonna work on it. But I know what you're gonna say. Straw man, and you were really overbearing. But hey, Carrie is too. She's not no fucking joke. I'm not putting on no kid gloves when I talk to that girl.
The thing is, I remarked upon you using a strawman simply because that was you kind of admitting defeat. Really?
You were white knighting because your girl was getting beat.
No. I was pointing out to you that
No, I know. I'm just
that you can do better than that. Because frankly, I know that the debate is not settled in.
Well,
the
it is there.
scientific
It is
circles.
there though. Dop. I was basically repeating her words really close to verbatim. It's just when you hear what you're saying back, sometimes it does make you stop and realize that I'm saying that this person is using conspiracy theory, but and listen, bro, I'll say it again. I don't have a side on that argument. It's just good TV, man. That's all.
Yeah. Basically, the thing is that in some cases, unfortunately, small details matter, and in this case, yeah, exactly. Once you change one small detail, it's all going down the wrong path.
All going down. And Captain came back. What's up, brother?
I think he may be just lingering.
I'm going to mute him just in case. And Copile, if you are here, you can unmute yourself just in seconds. I just don't want you to not know that you're here. Oh, he's not even muting. It must be. Sometimes it's weird like that. It'll keep a little somebody. I don't see it on the main thing. That's right. Cabbage is here. Hey, Cab. How you doing, Cabby? I hope he comes and joins me. I miss old Cabbage, man. I really do. And even if he doesn't, even if he didn't join me online here, I hope that he would join me soon. We would get together, Dop, and I missed it because he would make it so my old lady wouldn't bust my balls because it'd be like, oh, honey, I'm talking to Cabbage Patch. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning here, and Cabbage is like, hey, how you doing, mate? Get your beer. And I'll be like, oh, honey, I have to have a beer. He's English, I mean, he said to have a drink, and then I'm going to drink to the queen. So I'd have a nice ice cold beer before I go out and do my plowing or whatever. So I miss you, Cabby. It's good to see you in the chat. Oh, that was gushy. I do like him, though. He's a really good dude. I would say this, because I didn't mention him the other day, but I will say him and MC are peers, very, very close peers in every way. And the three of you people you're three of the smartest folks I ever met. You and Cabbage and MCJK. I can't talk about it, but he sends me stuff pretty often, and he just sent me what he was working on today, man. And the guy is honest to God. Right now, he's saving the world. He's saving human lives right now as we speak.
And this is awesome. The only sad part is that we cannot really talk about the details.
No. In fact, I've probably already said enough. He's sending his spies over here to have my throat slit in my sleep tonight if I don't watch it. So I got to be very careful because he is the mastermind that has masterminded many a troll. If you think you could hide behind your email or your little, hangout chat like I'm on, man, he can create. He might be. I'm not saying he can, but he may have the ability, Dop, to actually like find out the passcode, man.
Yeah, I'm afraid that nothing's really sacred and secure on the internet, so you're right. Anyway, I wanted to address our viewer Neil DB because she or he has been asking how to use Google Hangouts. So basically, if you are on a desktop computer, you can click on the link I posted above, and it will open in your browser, and you will be able to join us just like that. If you are on some mobile device, I'm not quite sure how to use it, probably the link would work for you just as well. In any case, you need a microphone, that's it. And it's good habit to mute your microphone upon joining, and then you can unmute yourself when you are ready, settled down here and all that. Otherwise, it's just fine. We're having fun. It's not a serious stream. So by all means, please hop in, try yourself out.
Yeah. What you were saying something about, what was that fiver? I was looking and I already took it down because you sent that to me along. I can find it, but it's way back in the chat.
Yes, it's a very interesting website.
So what do you do? Do you give them $5 and then they'll say something for you? Is that how it works? Because I didn't get a chance to really look at it.
They will do something for you. It may be saying something on the video or whatever. The people on the Fiverr are doing various kind of crafts.
But there is compensation involved. Is that why it's called the Fiverr?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes. And basically, this is exactly what I got from, I believe, who was it? Oh yeah, family-friendly Felix, aka PewDiePie, who got in hot water because of some funny movie he ordered over Fiverr. That was the beginning of the PewDiePie versus Wall Street Journal saga. And of course, in the end, he went out big time to support the guys who prepared the movie for him over the Fiverr. So the guys actually got quite a good following out of it, and everybody was better off.
Falcon
hello,
Millennial,
Falcon.
dude, Falcon, you get so much hate, bro. I'm gonna stick up for you till the end. I can't even really say the last two people you got hate from. I didn't see it coming. And I'll say this. I want to say this, and hopefully someone will either rewatch this because I gotta say this, man. You're a great kid, Falcon. I think that you're very honest. You don't ever tell outlandish stories. You have your beliefs, and I know I tease you, but I want to say right now, Falcon Millennial's not a fucking racist. Just a joke that's running between myself and some other people that know him, and I shouldn't say that on air. So, Falcon, I'm never going to say you're racist on air again, ever.
Nope. Nobody believe that. Nobody believe that. All the Jews must be gassed, and we must drive out the Africans out of the country and go back to Africa.
Is gonna
No, that's fine.
Comments. Yeah, by the way, Ogre, I think you may be overestimating the weight your word is carrying in such matters.
Well, yeah, anyway, I'm just saying that, look, people, I found this out, Falcon. No matter what you do, you're going to get haters. But I watch your stuff, man. I watch your live streams. I don't always, I'm selective about what I do now, because there's some people I just ain't going to be affiliated with. But for you, I want you to get everybody that you can on, because I love your stuff, man. I watch your live streams. But anyway, I'm flabbergasting now, because the fact of the matter is you'll grow, and you're going to get haters, bro, because you're a really staunch, good boy, right wing, good job. You've earned a lot of shit, and you're always going to have people that just don't like you because of that. It's simple as that.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I'm glad you're here, kid. I'm hoping that you were going to talk about airplanes or something. I don't know, because I was just about ready to split when I seen you pop up.
Well, I was hoping to be on yesterday, but I was up too late the night before, and then I had to stay late at work, and I got home around 5:30, made a sandwich, ate it, and just thought, I'll take a nap. That was a 3-hour nap, and then I was still exhausted, and I thought, you know what, screw it. So I set my alarm clock and just went to sleep, and just basically collapsed.
Dude, you sound tired now, Millennial. You've been burning your candle at both ends, kid. What you can do for a while when you're young, just don't burn it out.
I know.
We need you out there saving the world, building the planes and whatnot, making crop dusters and whatever you do. The little aerial planes that bomb shit, I mean. Whatever.
I do a little bit of both. I'm actually kind of pissed because this week somebody, I can't remember what exactly the guy did, but we sent an airplane out. It had a flaw in the landing gear, developed into a crack, and we said, you know what, we'll replace the entire landing gear free of charge. I think it probably a bad weld, but we had to send a guy out to Missouri. Now, this guy I work with all the time because he's in his late 50s. The guy is a genius when it comes to airplanes. He knows his shit. He knows the book front to back, basically that kind of guy. But he's an older gentleman. His body isn't what it used to be, so I work with him a lot, and he's basically my mentor. So he has to go out there, and they send someone else out there instead of me, which I was on the list. And even he said, hey, send Falcon out. Come on. Let him come out with me. And then they sent somebody else, and oh man, really grinds my gears. I was really, really hoping to go out there, because then I'd get a bunch of time behind the controls and everything. And irritates me. I like fixing things more than I like building it. Wish they would learn that.
I'm afraid we just lost Ogre, and if that's the case, it will unfortunately mean the stream will break in a few moments. Oh, and he's back. Ogre, you dropped for a second.
Oh yeah, just when I take, well, because I'm gonna put my headphones on, but when I take my Bluetooth off, I can't. When I stop it, the Bluetooth goes off, but it won't reproduce. Won't broadcast through this, so I can't hear it unless I restart it. So that happens every time I take my Bluetooth off. It's those earbuds. They're good and bad. Even the earphones, I've got to figure out a way, because the bottom of this Blue Yeti, I can plug my headphones into there, and then I can hear my voice, but I can't hear you all. And I'm still working on all of the programs that I got to get that didn't come. It all says, oh, plug and play, and it's compatible with Windows 10, and the bullshit. Depending upon what you want to do. I mean, it's partly true, but not fully true. And right now, I'm trying to get voice meter, Dop, because I tried it every other way. But what the end result is it's voice meter, and then I could broadcast the stuff, like all the little clips we get, man, that, because that's part of the reason it's, I mean, I would like to have more clips where we can hear what's being said. It's almost everything we look at has something like that.
Yeah.
And it gives us a little bit more.
By the way, we're getting echo.
It's not for me.
I think it's Ogre's echo. By the way, Ogre.
Oh no, it's for me. I'll be right back.
I'm pleasantly surprised you're trying to get a voice meter rather than a voice yard, as would be expected of Americans.
Real funny.
I think he's not hearing us. Damn it.
I heard you. That was very good. Let me get I'm gonna take this shirt off and I'm gonna get my headphones on. I'll be right back. I'll have the camera on.
No, turn off your camera. Come on. Don't make it a total sausage fest. Right, Falcon?
What?
Let's not make him the stream a total sausage fest by taking off the shirt and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout outs to Geek Tulu and Neil DB. We are waiting for you guys. What's taking you so long? Huh? Come on.
I don't know about him, but I'm sitting here playing Battlefield 1, shooting Ottomans.
So that's why you are a bit slow to respond. I get you now.
Die.
Die. Where is Die? Where is she? In any case, I think I just saw like today some video on YouTube. One of the mid-sized YouTuber was found out, or maybe it was Hotbustard actually. I'm not quite sure. Found out that Polygon of all the rags was trying to bemoan lack of diversity in Battlefield. What a load of crack, right?
Actually, Battlefield 1 has too many black people. Like I am dead serious. The 568, I believe it was the
Fighters
division that had black people in it, and they had some companies that had black people in it, but they had very few.
Right.
So on all fronts, there was very, very few black people, and even in World War II, there were very few black people.
Yeah, I can totally see that, because back then it was basically the last days of the colonial era, and the black people mostly kind of stayed in their own countries. I believe, there was some serious involvement on the African front, but other than that, really.
Really, even in North Africa, and even in the Middle East, for World War I, the vast majority of fatalities were white. It was very disproportionate, but you have to realize that even going into World War II, black people filled a supporting role. So if you need a bridge built, you called the engineers, and they sent a handful of engineers and a bunch of black people with them.
Yeah, I get you. I think I don't know exactly myself. Perhaps MC or maybe Cabbage would know the answer to that. But I believe around those times, Ethiopia was actually a quite strong and modern country. So was there any involvement from their side?
What was?
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia,
I don't remember Ethiopia being involved in World War One.
I don't believe they were involved in any of the world wars, but in the United States in 1948, really people like to think it was because it was progressive, blah blah blah. It actually boiled down to economics. In 1948, the U.S. Military was desegregated, and the reason for that is a black officer could not give commands to a white enlisted man.
Ooh.
So you basically had to have 2 armies, 2 air forces, 2 Marine Corps, 2 navies, 2 Coast Guards, and you know what? That would have been economically
You're the most racist
unfeasible.
son of a bitch I've ever known in my life. No, I'm
Yeah.
just teasing.
No,
You really are, though, at heart, I think.
I think I remember now that during the Second World War there was this Tuskegee or Tuskegee.
Tuskegee Airmen, the airmen, yeah.
There was some pretty nice documentary about them. The guys were pretty good pilots and full of fighter spirit. So once they actually got to the front lines, they did.
Oh, we had Buffalo Soldiers too. Do you know what those are, Mark Doppelganger?
No, not at all. I was more interested in aviation than other.
Well,
branches.
and it goes through. We can, you can talk about many things. Is all I'm saying. Because what happens is when you oppress people, and it could be black, white, any race. When you oppress somebody and say you can't do this or you're not good enough, if they get the chance, they might show you that they are better than you ever dreamed. You know what I mean? And that's what happened with the Tuskegee Airmen.
Basically, they were given the opportunity, and in fact given the exact same standards, and were told, do your job. The thing is with the Tuskegee Airmen, you also have to realize they took the best of the best. So the Tuskegee Airmen they took the best black people there were. That's part of the reason why they did so well.
Pilots you take out of white people too, bro. It's only the best of it. Well, I got to take that back. I guess, in honesty, like in World War I, World War II, they did throw some people in the planes that
especially World War I. In World War I, you would sometimes have as few as 10 hours, and before when you were sent into combat. Now you have to realize in the United States.
Did you ask what they were, the Tuskegee Airmen?
No. I know what they are, and with the Tuskegee Airmen, they were usually first to be sent in. They were sort of looked at as fodder, and not very many of the Tuskegee Airmen actually survive from many of their missions. They were just kind of there to be shot down and soften targets for the regular Air Force or Army Air Corps to go in. And
we know what's interesting. The P-51D Mustang, it was meant to survive 5 missions, so it only had a lifespan of a few weeks. That's all it was intended for.
You mean like technologically it was not constructed to be all that durable because they were able to replace it, right?
Well, it had to survive the turns. It had, because of course we're the United States, we don't do the same as the Japanese. We wanted them to kind of be able to get back, but the biggest weakness, and it really showed during the Korean War, is that underbelly radiator, because it was a V12 liquid cooled engine, right. And the cylinders and the crankcase were all one, just like the modern cars where you have what you call a block. However, in the vast majority of aircraft reciprocating engines, you have your crankcase in 2 pieces with a gasket in the middle, and it's bolted together, and then you have cylinders that the heads are part of the cylinder, and they're bolted at their bases to the crankcase. The toughest airplane, the toughest fighter we had throughout the entire war was actually the P-47D Thunderbolt. Our top scoring ace of that war was Gabby Gabreski. Of course, he went up in the ranks, and the mission that he was shot down on, he was basically raiding an airfield and got so low that he actually tapped the ground with his prop.
Oh.
And that took him down. But it was purely a case of just one more mission because he was actually told to go back home, but he wiped someone else's name off of the chalkboard and wrote his in. The guy was supposed to be sent back home as a PR thing to get people to buy war bonds.
Yeah.
What book? I'm just skimming this, Philip. What book is this from? It says Ronald Siegel.
Oh yeah, I just thought this was interesting. It's from the book Islam's Black Slaves, and it's just it's not really relevant except to show that segregated militaries precipitate military decline. And the example I was looking at was the Fatimid dynasty, Egypt, Syria, where the ethnically segregated divisions of the military, which consisted of military slaves, would be at each other's throats. I know there's some other sources that go into more detail about this, but it's so great that we avoided this in our own history, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, there is one more thing I wanted to go back with what Falcon was saying, the underbelly radiator on the P-51, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I remember, they were able to engineer the radiator in such way that at high speed and almost full throttle, it was actually not only not causing drag, but actually was producing significant thrust, thus making the P-51 exceptionally fast for a propeller-driven aircraft.
It only accounted for a maximum ability under the theoretically perfect circumstances of 2 knots. So essentially, it was nothing. You could have made it clean across the bottom and took out that radiator, and it would actually been faster. However, the big thing with a radiator at that time was, okay, with an inline liquid-cooled engine, you put one hole into that radiator, it's game over. It's done because that engine is so dependent on its cooling.
Yep.
However, with a radial engine, you can shoot out cylinders. It can be gushing oil. It'll keep going. Now, it won't be as powerful because you've gotten rid of one of the cylinders, but there are cases of P-4070 Thunderbolts coming back with out of 18 cylinders, if I remember right, having 5, 6, 7 cylinders missing in the engine. You cannot. An inline engine just cannot handle that.
Yeah, talk about baiting and basically protecting the pilot. In any case, I think the chat is kind of getting slow and perhaps tired of this particular subject.
Yeah.
So let's see. We have MC right.
Just noticing that I've been watching him. I just chatted some things out, but yeah, I love Falcon. I tell you, this is the thing. If I talk about music, if I don't just play you a song, and I don't even know, I think Mark thinks I suck, but if I just play you a song, you might like it, you might not. It's subjective. But if you do like my music, but then you want to hear me talk about music theory and shit, you won't like that. It's just like it's like a dude talking about clefs and whatever. It's just stupid. Anyway, but I appreciate your knowledge there, dude. And yeah, they're bored. What did you want to say, Doppel? Because I'm gone, man. I don't even know. I can't believe I'm still here. It's just Friday. I'm gonna get drunk now because I'm over my 3 beer limit, Dop. Right. Dop is like my unofficial producer. So if I'm gonna carry on, it's gonna be with your good graces.
CMC has written as correction that Ethiopia was attacked and destroyed by Italy. I'm not quite sure. Where they had to ask for German support. Italy used mustard gas on Ethiopia.
Cabbage.
Ooh, Cabbage, welcome.
Cheers, mate.
I believe my presence was requested. I noticed I've
been begging you to come on for like 3 days. It's been like 3 days. I've been begging you. I've been saying. I've even been mean to try to get you to respond to me. Good to have you, Cabbage. I love you, brother.
Mm-hmm. Strange way of showing it, don't you?
And meanwhile,
I tried to explain it, but I'll tell you one thing, Cabbage. I'll say it to you now because I haven't even been able to contact you in chat like we usually do. I will never try to please anybody again but myself. And if I would have pleased myself, there would have been not just you, but there would have been like, oh man, I mean, so hopefully it's suffice it to say, I feel sufficiently guilty, I believe, and I'm over feeling fucking guilty. That's it.
Yes, well, you know, life is a short journey.
No, I'm glad you're here, bro. You actually are not only a wonderful addition to the show, but I would have liked to have had you on here earlier when we were talking about climate change and shit, man.
And you didn't want me on the other night, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, well,
sleeping dogs lie, right?
I have to take that because this has nothing to do with want, though. It really doesn't. Because I didn't get to do a lot of shit I wanted. I was muted myself most of the time, and that was in my opinion. And even though I was Billy, come, even though I was muted most of the time, people were still like, my favorite part of the show was when the ugly guy with the beard and the hat shut up. That was my favorite comment, by the way. That was my favorite comment. Hang on, excuse me. My dog is going nuts. That usually means somebody's here.
Sign that you drink too much, you name your dog Miller.
Oh. Yeah, but I mean, he must hate his dog if he wants to call it Miller. That's not a good beer.
At least it's not called Budweiser.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a new guest.
That's a gay dog. That's a gay dog.
We have a new guest on panel, Neil DB, and apparently Neil DB somehow managed to get a blinking icon. Neil, how do you do it?
That's triggering.
Well, it's a GIF. It's a GIF image.
Just a simple animated image.
Yeah, just a GIF. You can upload different. Yeah, you can upload different formats. You don't just have to have it as a JPEG or a BMP or whatever. You can do it.
To be honest, this is driving me crazy right now because this is the only moving element on my whole screen, and it's blinking rhythmically.
I keep drawing my eyes back to it. It's
exactly.
kind of distracting.
Thank God I'm playing a game.
I'm going to animate myself. I'm going to have my eyes blinking.
No, just have it sitting there laughing.
Yeah, that would work. Yes, well, you know, I do entertain myself. I mean, hell, if nobody else is going to do it, I've got to do it myself. Apparently, I'm the only one who gets my sense of humor. I'm not really. So, come on, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, we got one link from MC, I believe, and MC said, yeah, it was MC, that Styx is getting what he wanted. Basically, it says that North Korea missile has performed a test firing of a ballistic missile, and apparently the test failed. Obviously,
yeah, it blew up 40 feet off the bloody launch pad.
Oh, so basically, basically what the German rocket program was getting early on, right?
Like, yeah, the V2s and stuff. But eventually, don't forget the V2s. You know, the V1s turned into the V2s.
Yeah, and the V2s turned into Saturn V and landed on the moon.
Yep. Well, actually, prior to that, they turned into the Russian put up Sputnik, right? Because actually, if you look at that original Russian rocket, it was basically 4 V2s strapped together.
Really now? I believe the engine was totally different. It had 4 chambers each. Rather than single chamber as on V2.
Well, I mean, they'd obviously, you know, they'd taken the V2 technology because the Russians, this is where America fucked up. America took the management and the Russians took the engineers. And that's why they ended up in space earlier.
Well, also, you have to realize that a lot of the launch facilities were east of Berlin. So most of the engineers we really couldn't get our hands on. Not only that, but also a lot of the small arms engineers were east of Berlin. So like the guys who developed the Sturmgewehr, which the Russians captured them and forced them to work, and they later created the AK-47. We didn't have them, so we had to start from scratch.
But basically, Germans were the pioneers of the assault rifle, both in form of Sturmgewehr and to some extent in form of STG-40. Sorry, not STG, but FG-42, right?
He's just got a wood over his Garand. That's all it is.
I don't have a grand.
With it. He strokes his penis with it. Yeah, but he wants one. He wants one. He knows he does. That's his ideal.
Dude, grands are awesome.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, all right.
Better than Enfield.
Well, I like a Browning.
I like the Enfield.
BFR. Big fucking rifle. Browning fully automatic rifle. It's big, but I like a Browning. So
Actually, I gotta say, I do like the old Sten guns. Anyone who's ever fired one of those, but they gotta fuck it. They kick like a mule.
That's old school. Man.
What are they? What is it? Don't they chamber?
Well, there's no
9mm?
gas return. There's no gas return on them. So you're taking the full
cyclical.
kick.
It's cyclical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, aren't they a blowback operated 9mm?
You didn't hear what he just said? Tell him again, Cabbage.
He said there's no gas return, so there's no gas to bring.
No, the gas return is only just for the recycling, but you take the full force apart from the recycling of the rounds. So I mean, seriously, it fucking kicks like a fucking bitch. It really does.
Yes, a Sten gun has a return spring, so that the
I know that, but what what I'm meaning as far
I know
as
someone who got his shoulder dislocated by one of those. But by God, that thing can kick up dirt. That will kick up a lot of dirt.
What I mean by a blowback gun is the only thing that causes the bolt to come back, which compresses the recoil spring and load a new round, is the pressure of the gas is burning inside the barrel. That's what forces the bolt back into cycle. Instead of like with an AR-15, you have a gas block which taps off a little bit of the gases that come back through a gas tube, which hits the bolt carrier through the bolt through the gas key that unlocks it and forces it back.
Yeah, but the thing is, you get a lot of release of gas with those ones, as opposed to the Sten gun, which is basically using as much of the maximum capacity of the the pressure in the barrel.
All right, man. I got like 10 minutes, Britisher, and I'm leaving. I can't believe you just came back in. Did we run you off with the argument? Is that why you left earlier?
No, actually, I crashed out because I was uploading, and it simply couldn't handle my being on the video and my uploading at the same time.
Your video's finally up. I mean, I thought you just quit on me.
I thought you'd got new internet now, Mr. Britisher. Hello, by the way.
Hello there. Yes, this is the new internet. So yes, it's scary. Yes, you try to.
No,
you try
they charged him for it. They charged him for it, Cab. That's what I got a problem with. They were like, "Oh, get this fiber and pay extra money," and it ain't no better.
Have you done a net stat check? Have you done
it goes from the fiber optic cable down to copper wire. If it could go from fiber optic directly into your computer, then it would be insanely fast. But because it goes first to copper, that's where it slows down.
Yeah, look, I'm working on 3G, and this is working beautifully.
The problem is not the capacity of the copper wire, because obviously I'm capable of downloading quite a lot faster. It's the moment you stop uploading, that's when everything becomes very painful.
Yeah, the problem is that most consumer-grade copper wire internet connections are very slow in upload. No particular reason, it's just designed that way.
No, you use different frequencies over it. You got a thing called bipolar differential encoding. That's what bipolar differential encoding.
I shall take your word for it.
Right? You can actually, no, I'm serious.
Differential encoding.
Look it up, you can find it.
Makes me think of Stephen King talking about dipolar computers.
That's right, because I used to do networking, mate. So
they're screwing the British, I'll tell you that, because
they are.
And they do what happens is I asked him to do a ping test, a speed test. He's like, yeah, just ping test. Speed test. It says this, and I asked him, well, how long does it take you to load up a 20-minute clip of narration with pictures? What'd you say, Britisher?
Oh, it takes forever. I mean, this one I've just done now took well over an hour.
Whoa, that's painful.
Yeah, but how big was the file? I mean, what quality?
A minute and a half to upload.
Question is, how large is the file in megabytes?
Yeah,
I'm just having a look here. Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. This thing's.
Yeah.
This thing isn't working right now, of course.
It's a 1 gigabyte file. It will take that. If you're recording at say 1080, then you're gonna end up with a
Neil, if I eject you, it's not for anything bad. It's because you're not speaking and the eyeballs driving me fucking nuts. So you got like a minute. Actually, I don't want to eject you, man, because in case you want to come on later and talk. So if you want to come on after the stream is done, I'll give you 2 minutes to remove yourself, and then I don't know, Cabbage. Actually, I got to leave it to Cabbage because he's the eject master, and I think I'm on my last leg with him. So if that eyeball's bothering you,
I actually like it. I think it's clever that you.
All right, fuck it, he stays.
Well, no, I mean, no, it's up to you. It's your fucking stream.
No, he said fair enough. He's out, but I want you to speak, Neil. I want you to actually say something. And if you, and in fact, you know what? Just leave your blinking eye because you've been around here for so long. You know, I got to remember what side my bread's buttered on. And besides that, he might be keeping out some other moron Britisher. You never know.
Well, no, you still got plenty of slots for morons.
By the way, I believe Neil DB earlier on said that he's got a laptop computer or netbook computer, and I believe most, or if not all of them, have built-in microphone. It may not be easily recognizable, but it should be there. So please check out, I don't know, your settings or something. It should be there. Or even just enable your microphone and try speaking. Maybe it will pick up your voice.
That's what I'm thinking, because if it's built-in into your laptop, then your computer, of course, will automatically recognize it. The only issue could be is if your browser recognizes it.
That's all right. I made this thing dim. I'm not kidding. The little thing down there doing this, it was starting to drive me to distraction.
Oh, it is. It's annoying. That's why I've got the chat up and it covers it, so I don't actually see it. That's why I'm not fucking bothered whether or not he does it or not. It means nothing to me.
Cabbage, man. I tell you, brother. So this is the thing. Sunday, I'm not doing anything tomorrow. Yesterday I went on and I shouldn't have. It ended up being this long, protracted debauch. So Sunday though, I've got some in British. I haven't really dropped the bomb on you, but I'm going to have a little debate between the two. And I know you're a busy guy, but if I show you what it is, because you just did a project that I'm not supposed to talk about. How you pumped out all the words that you pumped out for that project. And do the other thing. It's kind of, but so that said, I would like to heap some more work on your shoulders, mate. And
I've just survived doing the latest video, so immediately, he's free. Let's go for it.
Let's get him. Not a moment, no rest for the wicked, sir. But if I do, what I'll do is I'll give you the topic because they don't know it. Cabbage Patch and MCJK want to do a dry hump. Just get on air, have no idea what the topic is. Each one of them will be given what this side they're going to defend, and it won't be nothing like the armor skeptic thing, or it's going to be serious, something that maybe you and I could come up with that would be that they would, that Cabbage would actually want to defend. You know what I mean? Not a bomb. But then just hit them with it and no time to prepare.
Well, the thing is, no, it's got to be flip of a coin. I mean, the topic you choose, but then who has to do which?
So you want to go that deep? You want to just say,
yeah.
Well, then we can't tailor the topics to one or the other because that would be flip-flopped in either direction.
Absolutely, exactly. No, don't tailor it to me.
So what they want us to do, Britishers, they want us to just come up with a topic and then flip a coin on which one of them's going to defend which side and let them have at it for an hour.
That's it. Go dynamic.
Time, like before.
That's hardcore, man. See?
I think so. Yeah, that's true debate. They did show people how to debate. I feel like the last time they did that, and I think the next time, if it's that way, I mean, holy crap, how much more cold duck can you get?
Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I'll just say the thing, Brett, and if you feel like either helping me, because I already got a couple topics in mind, especially you just said that, I won't say it now. And then if you could, 5 questions, for each one of them is more than enough. I tried to do that before. I don't think I got to question even 4, maybe 4, but not 5.
Well, if you do 3 each, and then because nobody knows who's because you can't then say British's question is going to be for me, because you won't know who it's going to be for, right?
Yeah,
right.
Because you don't know who's won the coin toss.
Yes, exactly. So no, let's go. Old school.
No, that's definitely debate school. I mean, I'm telling you, I love debate. When I was all through, there was a couple things that didn't jive with who I was and the people I hung out with as my main clique, But that was I loved Dungeons and Dragons. I loved theater. I did the speech class, was one of my favorite classes, and anywai, it did cause me a lot of trouble. And I love debate. Well, that's what, and that's what I got to. You can't, what you do, you probably got called a fag too. It's just whatever. You can be tough.
Well, I did, the other night by you. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to say. Well, of course I did. I'm always. But I'm not going to say. I'm not going to call myself a Renaissance man, but I kind of am, and I dig people that like classical literature and music, and also might like a little heavy metal. That you can't have too much of everything.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, especially with music and things like that, you can't have. Once you minimize your spectrum, then you're reducing your ability to be able to perceive things, right? I mean, it's perception. You have to have that expansion. The more that you self-censor, I suppose you call it, the more that you. I mean, but I like, apart from country and western, fuck that. Okay, you can shove that up your ass.
I'm not a big fan myself, Cabby. Hang on. It's like I would rather listen to rap music, and that's very.
Yeah, well, only old school rap, not modern gangster bullshit. Fucking. Horse.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, and you and I got booed into a corner because I like KRS-One, and somebody was like, "Oh, he danced about the towers coming down," but dude, he had whatever. People do what they do, and you can't just say because somebody was happy that something that you didn't like happened, all of a sudden everything they ever did sucks. And KRS-One's the preacher, the prophet, man. He brings a lot of truth. I sold some eggs, Cabby. That's why I was gone. I mean, it's springtime and everybody's buying eggs. And I don't, I don't really make, I probably by the time the feed, and especially if I figure my time in on the birds, I might make, $1 shilling an hour if I'm lucky for the time that I've got in on it. But it's nice in the summertime and spring like this when people start coming by to buy the I think the last time you were here I was bragging about jerky too, mate. You know what I got for not letting you on the stream? Yes. I burnt fucking 10
You're
pounds.
Smoking.
I burnt it. I fucking burned it.
Oh no.
To a crisp. I was following a recipe for doing a side of venison, a side of deer.
Yeah. And that was I believe it was apple, wasn't it? You're going to do apple.
Oh yeah, I use apple wood. That's all I use. But I put fucking strips of beef that were brined for 48 hours and would have been perfect. I put them in there for 8 hours because I only do this in the spring and summer and fall. I've been off for 4 months and I just grabbed a recipe and followed it. It was for a hat. It was so bad. The only thing that will eat it so far is my dog. The birds won't eat it.
That's fine. It's biltong. Right, you got yourself some beef jerky. Well, some.
Oh, you can't look. I'm gonna go get a piece and show it. It'll go. It's snap, and it's so burnt, and so there's no chewy. It's just it turns to dust. Crunchy. It's ruined.
Yeah, well, at least the dog likes it. It's got a happy dog.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. And it's so dried and smoked that I've just put it in a big bag in the pantry, and it would last for 1,000 years the way it is right now. Holy shit!
Yeah, well, you basically mummified it, right?
It's a dinosaur bone, yes.
You fossilized it.
Mercy. But that's, hey, what they say is karma's a real thing, man. Anybody doubts it, live my life, fuckers. Yeah. Oh, he said, unmuting button. Let me see. I might have you muted there, bro. Let me look. Muted. You should be unmuted by me. In fact, I'm sorry. I'm just rambling now. I've got one more beer in me, British, and then I am leaving because I represent you and Amanda Wolfchild, and God forbid on my soul, Day is dead. I love that girl, and she's such a delicate flower, Britt. She really is. She's such a nice girl, and yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to think that I don't want to do anything that would make her feel bad or make her think that she's affiliated with me and that I'm just a greasy old ogre. That's what I'm trying to say.
Talking of which, I see that on the left-hand bottom side, that picture of yours is now part of your illustrations around the side of the screen.
Yeah, there's four blinking
Somebody said that I should take Cabbage down before he even come on tonight. And I'll tell you the truth, Cabbage, you could have told me to go pound sand in a personal email. I would have never taken your visage down, sir, ever. It's not Rome. We would not chisel out. Oh yeah, I'm kissing your ass a little bit. But that said, yeah, of course, I had to put that Oh, well, you give it a shot, bro. And if you want to, I don't want you to though. Don't try to get it down. But even if you tried it, whatever.
Ooh,
but
I do like a challenge.
That is what. And listen, I've got to show it. I really do. Pretty sure I'm going to show the colored version. That's still not done because. Do you think that it's a secret what we know about our artist friend? I think that's enough information for you to decide.
I would sort of, I wouldn't show anything yet that isn't done yet.
Not for the project that I'm alluding to, but do you think that the project itself would be, clandestine for him?
You're kind of beginning to lose me now.
So he is doing a certain contest, is our artist friend. Do you think it would be unwise to speak of that contest?
I would just basically leave it to him for now.
Okay.
Oh, you mean?
Well, I will show the art that he did for me, though.
T-shirt thing.
Oh. No, whatever do you mean?
Yeah, well, I have no idea. What are we talking about? What possibly?
No, I think that was it. But I'm just gonna because sometimes I get excited for my friends, and I might mention something that is still in the works. It's not quite come to fruition. I can show the picture though that he did for me that's in color because I had a friend of mine just look at it not too long ago, and they were like, "Well, let me look at that close," and I pulled it up close, and they were like, "Oh, he even drew your teeth crooked like they are." I was like, "Yeah, it's me. It looks like a not a sepia-tone, but it looks like a picture that you've turned into like the cartoon on Apple's whatever." Yeah, he's something else. He's a very good artist. Is Nachi Free?
I'll tell you what, it's one thing I'm really surprised with, the amount of people that I've met on, Hangouts and stuff. Absolutely. I mean, artists like, Philip, a musical artist. You've got so many different graphic artists, different styles, like Skaggles, and you've got, pretty much everyone that's on here seems to have some kind of artistic bent of some kind. And I don't mean that in the queer sense.
No.
Serious, like you. I mean, you've got your music, right?
I love music.
Obviously, seriously, everyone seems to have their own kind of, way of doing shit. So.
Seems I've thrown out that email. I'm gonna find it though. The guy is good, and I'll leave it at that. At Nachi, he's gonna be on. By the way, I pumped up Sargon and whatever. I'll tell you what. In my mind, this guy's
pumped up Sargon. What was that? Was that by his penis?
Well, they were alluding to that in the chat, I must say, very heavily. Yeah. But probably.
All
I can say as a Britisher, I've looked high and low, and I can't. And I'm bragging. I'm bragging for you and everybody that was involved, including Cabbage Patch to a lesser degree, whatever. But he was there for 5 hours. I can't find another live stream he was on for that long. We actually, and Dank came on. I was, man, I could say it 1,000 times. I'll just show. He did come on at the end there, and he was like, we were angling, and we had the big fish on, and the big fish was nearly landed, and he was about to get off, and then Dank came along with his gaffle and gaffled him right in the freaking gills and got him on board. I mean, it was because I've had the feeling I couldn't believe he was there that long. I'd already given him like 3 chances. I was like, well, mate, it must be awful late there in England, and I was thinking of you, and I was thinking of everybody.
But that's the whole point. At that point, I didn't give a shit because I'd been shunned. So what did I care?
Mercy, you didn't. Cabbage the last out. I'm not even gonna go through it. No, you weren't shunned, and you wouldn't have the. It would have been my call, and I don't know what would have happened. Probably nothing because we were actually, and British, you're here. We were threatened that some bad things were going to happen on the chat.
Well, if I came on, you were going to get
not if you came on.
You're going to get swatted, right? You were going to get fucking swatted.
No, nothing like that. But I would have been in. Listen, what I'm trying to tell you is I'm lucky I was there because it could have easily been done on someone else's channel. And in the end, I was involved in the fuckery that made everybody nervous. So were you, and there was a bunch of people involved in it. So basically, everybody that was
clearly so influential, aren't I?
Everybody that was involved in that fuckery, they did get a sideline. They did, and I still let in one person that was on that list, and that's because and they know who they are. But they've been here with me, and they've done things. And you too, you were. I was going to give you. Look, I didn't got to say it again. Fuck it. I was going to give you and MC both a pass in at the end, and the Britishers here. He would have been upset with me. And not because of you or MC. You figure out which one is which. But he didn't, you know, we all wanted it to go smooth.
No, I don't need to work out anything because I actually don't
what
give
can
a
you
shit.
do more than try your best and hope that it works out as good as it possibly can? That's all that anyone can do. I'm sorry,
it was a great harem.
I like you, mate. I really do.
Yeah, of course you do.
In my mind, it would have been, I don't even want to say because then it would piss other people off. There would have been a different lineup, though, if I had my absolute say. But if it would have been the lineup that I wanted, there would have been other people that were there from the very get-go that wouldn't have been there. The only two definite people that would have been there from the get-go would have been me and Britisher.
Yeah.
And the rest, in my mind, were all, it was like, who, and I don't. I've never done shit quite like this. I mean, the guy's got 600,000 subscribers. I mean, it was quite an honor. I didn't know what to do. The last thing I wanted for it was to be a debauch where people were coming on, because Dank loved it when people were coming on and doing weird noises and the whole thing. He loved it. Asking about cumming his beard, but I don't know if Sargon would have liked it or not. But I do know.
What do you mean? Sargon is a major shit poster. Good God, I mean,
I know
Black Dick stuff and everything else. I mean, God, he's got a thick skin.
I'm not saying he doesn't. In fact, I made that point, Cabbage. I really did. I was like, well, if something bad did happen, then I think it would actually make it better. But you've still got to consider. I'm trying.
The thing is, with Sargon, I had absolutely nothing whatsoever. No bullshit. Like I said, an hour and a half before the show, you said to me and Mark that we would get a chance to go in. Mark actually ended up just leaving. And there was still an open position there.
Sorry, but I have to correct the record. I did not live. I swapped with Kerry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, you know, either way, there was still two positions.
And Dop actually was like, hey, he was so cool. He said right in the side chat, he said, hey, Ogre,
look,
if I leave, I want to leave
no
so Kerry can come in. And he knew. Yeah, I told Dop the same thing I told you. I was like, hey, man, I'm not supposed to let anybody that was in on that debacle in.
Well, hey, listen, you make your decision.
Or unless you just want to call me.
Hey, listen, mate, at the end of the day, you run your stream. Mate, you run your stream.
But I did. I tried to tell you already like 10 times. I ran it improperly that night because I didn't try to please myself.
I think you were duplicitous. I said that, right? Because
it's not even it was duplicitous because I tried to please other people and myself.
But you said an hour and a half before the actual fucking show that you were actually, you and MC, you and Mark, you're going to come on. I
sure did.
Right?
I lied to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Blatantly that's what you want to believe it, but you did.
And, to be happy about that. Because not only that, you've been saying it for weeks.
Cabbage, look at the stream, man. I was so tired and stoned and drunk. I shouldn't say stoned.
I don't give a shit. I was so drunk by the end. Pissed before, by the end, but not at the beginning. No. So no excuse.
Come on, last half hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, last half hour. Oh right, really? It was meant to be in the second hour. Now you're saying it's the last half hour. You can't even fucking keep your story straight.
Hour and a half, but whatever.
Yeah, kiss my ass. In actual fact, you said
we'll share it, honey buns.
You said you were going to put me in at the beginning, and I said no. Well, you want to get your stuff, and I'll actually just stay off for an hour. I said that. I even offered it to you, and you couldn't even fucking do that. So
I'm glad you're here now, man.
Kiss my ass.
I'm glad you're
you're not going to get me fucking groveling anytime.
You bear that greasy ass years, and we'll share it. That's what we say up here. You bear it, we'll share it, honey. Hey, look, man, it's all good. You're here now, and life rolls on. I mean, you live and you learn. I don't know what else to say. I'll take all the abuse that I need to, though. I really dig you, mate. You're my mate.
Look, at the end of the day, it's all shits and giggles, mate. We all know that. I mean, anyone who
in the end, I've found out many times in my life that if I try to please me, it usually works out. But then people call you narcissistic, everything else. But in the end, I've found in my life that if I try to please myself, that is usually the smoothest way, because I'll find that I don't want to do things that make me feel guilty or bad. And I mean, I factor everything in when I'm trying to please myself. And it's when you go off and try to please other people, it always ends up being whatever. And that goes for you too, Cab. If I would have just tried to please you that night, people would have been mad. But if I'd have just tried to please myself or whatever, I should have said myself was the one. But you're right.
In actual fact, you wouldn't have ended up with those 45 emails.
I'm sure somebody's recording this right now and got me saying, "Listen, I'm a duplicitous son of a bitch." So record it and make a takedown video of me. I got big shoulders. Look at them.
It doesn't matter. No, it's all good. Listen, mate. At the end of the day. It's so
I did not wear the
water off a duck's back, mate. It's water off a duck's back. It doesn't, I don't understand how people, dwell over these sort of things.
Yeah, thank goodness. So let's move on, because I'm about to split. I'm Britisher. Why are you here? Just to force me to stay on longer than I really wanted to?
No, I'm just listening to the two of you not dwelling on something you don't.
Oh, mercy. You've heard me say it like 10 times, but I'll let him. He's going to beat me up a little bit. It's the first time I've even talked to him in 3 or 4 days. So he's got it.
Oh, no, but we've exchanged. We have exchanged mails. So, you know.
Yeah, he's like called me a prig, and I've called him a bastard. And he's like,
I haven't called you a prig. Never once did I use the word prig. You lie.
There was a lot of unfruitful communiques. No, I don't know. I'm just making that shit up on my head.
Well, apparently,
hey, I'm glad Cabbage is back, Brendan. I won't even lie. I'm glad he's back. The guy's he's my nemesis.
Yeah,
you know, the righteous retribution from some kind of other source, exact opposite of you kind of deal, you know? Like the real yin and yang. You know, he's the yang to my yin. Whatever. I'm fucking leaving. Hey man, look, it's Friday. Shalom, happy Sabbath, everybody. I would suggest that if you don't do it right now, that you pick a day of the week. And if you're lazy, get to fucking work. So don't say I would take every day off today. But if you work hard, pick a day. Take a chill pill. Have a Sabbath. What?
Problem is, that job that the thing that I've got to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fuckers moved it from Thursday and Friday in the office to Tuesday and Wednesday.
That's cool.
So, no, it's not, because it means Monday's out. Because I cannot stay up stream on Mondays because I've got to be up and like 6:30 in the morning on Tuesdays. So there's
Wednesdays
no way
and Fridays. Wednesdays, Fridays, and Cabbage, you can come on anytime. We got people rolling and out of here.
Yeah, you always say come on anytime. All right, I'm gonna get the link. I'm gonna get the link at the beginning. You bitch. Come on, you line yourself up for this shit. Why do you do it? It's like bowling pins.
So I shouldn't just. I'm British. I just really what I got to do is just act like that happened.
Oh, enjoyment. Yeah.
Well, what I mean by that is whenever I send you a link, you're more than welcome to come on.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm much obliged.
No, but
I must remember to send you a bottle of port.
Oh, mercy. I like that. Glamorange.
Guys, we have a request from the chat. And the chat says, apparently, Mark, mute both of them. Do we oblige? Do we oblige? Oh, well.
I'm already gone, man.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a nice evening.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that new video, Britisher.
That's my cue.
Always good. Always good.
Yeah, thanks to the
now it feels like we wasted his time because all the time he was here, we talked over his head.
Brett, I think a lot of times he might just come on because he's bored and he might just come on to support the show. A lot of times, like yesterday he was on with the Frenchman bringing up that comedian and shit. But I'll tell you, in truth, it's just like Cabby. Him and Cab they're the only two folks that I have met that don't live in my country and I've never known I like them. I don't know how else to say it. You don't count.
Well, the thing is, hey, look,
another universe.
Yeah, but the thing is, Oga, that he and I ended up in a stream together for what, like until about 8 o'clock in the morning here. So, I like the guy.
Tell me all about it.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. Backstabbing bitch.
No. What I mean is what he told me about was he said that he felt like between you two, and I've been there with you. He said, I felt like I didn't want to quit before he did. I was like, yeah, he'll get you that way.
Yeah, exactly. I said that to you. I said, I know that he was trying to keep me in there. I said that to you the day after. It's like, I knew what he was trying to do.
Hey, Philip, what do us Jews call Friday? What's the day name for Friday?
Off the top of my head?
Preparation Day is what we call it. What I call it. Anyway. It's like the first day of the week, the second day of the week, the third day of the week, the fourth day of the week, the fifth day of the week. Preparation Day, Sabbath. I mean, that's just how I look at it. And it is Preparation Day for me.
Preparation H.
I'm gonna go and put my chickens up.
It's very good on the whole.
That was disgusting. Hey man, it's the freighter. I didn't even look. It's because I'm trying to get out of here gracefully, and he's not.
No, the freighter has.
Philip's been here forever. I've got to give somebody else my password so they can keep this stuff going if they want. But
she's gone into the woods. She's gone to her summer home.
Right. Yeah. That's what I thought for a couple weeks. She said.
Yeah, we won't be seeing her for a while, sadly.
No, it's a nice spot. I'm sure we have some places in the state, man, that are. This is a wonderful place to be if you don't like human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like y'all human beings, but I've never met none of y'all.
Yeah, that's probably
I'll
why
see
you're
y'all next
happy.
time. I gotta get some rest.
All right. Hey, listen, remember, be good to everybody that you like, and make sure you say you're sorry. And if they say they're sorry, accept the apology.
Suck somebody else's dick.
In the end, you're going to be, it's what it comes down to is they're going to die before you know it.